Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And Jacob Wile too.
And welcome to the Kickback Cafe, the show where we kick back, relax, and talk about anything but Disney. Yes, folks, and tonight we are talking about, for the first time on the channel, my God, where have we been? Jesus Christ, we are way behind. We're talking about Stranger Things.
Yeah. So you like Stranger Things?
Right. I mean, it's pretty much become that. So you like all the Stranger Things episodes besides season 2, episode 7? Oh boy.
Oh,
seriously, that is the main talking point I'm excited to get into with this thing. I'm dead serious about that. Anyways. Oh boy, folks. So yeah, so we are here to talk about Stranger Things. Of course, it's kind of up in the air when we're going to get around to talking about season 2, or season 1, rather. We're kind of going to take a backwards approach to this, Jacob, as Jacob would say, with Yoda, it's kind of we're going to do season 2 and then do season 1. I don't know. Jacob, you explained it better than I just did.
As it, we pulled a George Lucas, basically Yoda was in charge of our planning.
Right. So, all right, so let's get right into it. We're going to pull we're going to do a full-blown season 1 podcast, probably way down the line, probably, unless this gets a really good response. We'll see how it goes. But speaking of season 1, guys, what was your overall experience with season 1, and how do you get into it, and, kind of your overall thoughts on the characters and whatnot? Who wants to go first?
I guess I can go first.
Go for it.
Well, I mean, of course, we, as Dragon pointed out in off show, we got into it through Netflix, of course. But to be real, though, I mean, there's a show that I heard about, I didn't watch until as I remember mentioning it to you, late last year, many months after it had already come out.
Right.
And
right.
it was and it was pretty much the thing to watch on Netflix, and I hadn't gotten around to watching it yet. It's pretty much everybody's saying you need to watch this show. And I think it was around the time afterwards I finished Troll Hunters or something along that time. I was really looking for something else to watch, and so I was I'll try Stranger Things, see how that turns out. And so here I am.
Well, I mean, what are your thoughts, man? How do you feel about season 1?
Well, I think considering I'm here, I can say I was hooked pretty much from the get-go, from the vanishing of Will Byers all the way forward. I was hooked.
All right.
All kinds of interesting characters, all kinds of interesting 80s settings, all kinds of stuff. It was really. In other words, it's a very well-made show. It was there had some character issues here and there, with pacing. Some of them got evened out in season 2. But so it all worked out in the end, if you ask me. So I'm very glad I got into the show, and I'm glad to be here talking about it.
Okay, we're gonna do a positivity sandwich, and I'm gonna go next. Oh God. Yes, folks. Look, I like Stranger Things season 1 a lot. Okay, I like it a lot. It's a lot of fun. You know what I compare it to though? We've had the Lego movie, we've had the Peanuts movie. This is basically the 80s movie. It's just I don't know, for better or for worse. It's just for me, it's been hard for me to fully appreciate the show even into season 2. And yes, hi, I'm Tiki. I'll be playing the role of the contrarian asshole tonight.
A returning role.
Right. Oh God, like I said, this show fixed a lot of problems for me in season 2, just because season 2 was a lot more ambitious. I felt the characters were a lot more fleshed out. I felt that while, yes, there were a lot of, the 80s was still very strong with this, which is, of course, the point of the show. It didn't feel like just picking and choosing 80s things. It felt like so season 2 was kind of a big improvement over season 1 for me. I actually got into season 1 a little before the hype machine started for it. Like, I kind of discovered it the first week or two that it was on Netflix before it became like this global like sensation, like the big talking point of everything. I discovered it through a podcast that I listen to for a lot of my, it's kind of a go-to where it's like if they're covering the show in detail, I'll watch it. And that's how I discovered The Leftovers, which is Dragon Knows, is a show that I just absolutely adore. So, I gave season 1 a chance. And like I said, I really like season 1. I feel like, if anything, season 1, the character of 11 was kind of like the one thing that season 2 didn't improve on. Spoiler alert for my opinions. But, like, 11 was definitely the big selling point for season 1. Like, she was different than anything we've seen before. Like, she was kind of like, like a little kid version of Carrie, but not quite Carrie. There was like a twist to her. And, like, that whole storyline, like her and Mike and everything like that, all that, like, really worked well. The thing that I thought season 2 really improved on over season 1 was, while the characters in season 1 were very likable, it was a very likable bunch of kids. I didn't really feel like any of them had a ton of dimension to them outside of maybe Mike and obviously 11. I thought the adult cast in season 1 shined a lot more. Like, I love Winona Ryder in that show, specifically in the middle episodes, like when she's when she's all into her crazy Christmas lights and everything like that. Like, I as many people, was like really like when we got to the Christmas lights episode, that was like my main, like, okay, this show's got something. So I don't, like I said, I don't want it to come across like I hate this show or anything, because it's a very good show that I think made leaps and bounds and improvement over season 1 and season 2, besides one episode. But, I'm not over the moon about season 1 the same way that a lot of people are. I think season 1 was like a good kind of foundation, and it laid the groundwork for better things to come, I think. So that's overall my thoughts. And I have to give season 1 a rewatch too, because it's been quite a long time. So I've been meaning to work that in. I was kind of hoping to work that in before we talked about season 2, but alas, it just didn't fit into my schedule. So, all right. So Dragon, that's my contrarian asshole opinion. I'm sure that you have more positive things to say.
We'll see. So Stranger Things, I came to it. Honestly, it's kind of the way I come to a lot of the Netflix shows I wouldn't ordinarily check out. And it's kind of this, I go on to Netflix and, I'm looking for stuff, and they have this almost like this little carousel, basically, where it's, they'll have like a banner or something of some other stuff they're trying to promote on Netflix. Some of the other shows, especially the new releases. And also, this is kind of what got me to watch BoJack Horseman eventually as well. It's like sort of like when you put it on pause, like if you have it on the TV setting, basically until the computer can have it on the TV setting. Basically, what will happen is like it'll project like these huge kind of haunting images of just. God. I know. I mean, they're not scary, but it's like this thing of like usually.
No, I know what you're saying though. It's just like watch me.
I mean, imagine this. Like those things are playing while like it's nighttime, and like on the outside of the window it's kind of dark. It has like kind of that ominous feel of just like hey, over here. It's that sort of thing where I'm seeing like kind of these enticing images of shows that for the most part I'm not going to watch, but again they have some of those just kind of are eating away at me. Like again, I had no desire to watch BoJack Horseman, but I had nothing else to watch, and I was just like, it was like, hey, there's that image again. It's like, oh man, it's just,
like that stupid talking horse.
That's the thing. It's like I'm not gonna watch that stupid talking.
And of course, I was always enticing you with BoJack, where it's like like, hey, it's got Aaron Paul in it, and he's basically playing a lighter version of Jesse Pinkman.
Yeah, that, and then of course it's all the hype behind it. And it's very similar. My point for mentioning BoJack Horseman, it's a very similar. Kind of window for Stranger Things, basically it's been around. I've seen the name, the red font, the red on black font, and it's like, oh yeah, Stranger Things. That's kind of a neat title, I guess. I'm assuming it's kind of a throwback to the 80s, but I'm not. I guess I just blindly assume it's gonna be like a horror thing. It's like, nah, I don't want any part of that. And then of course Tiki's Tiki's hyping it a little bit. He's saying, "Oh, check it out." It's not
like I said, when I was hyping it, that was like when I was going through the, the Christmas lights episodes with Winona Ryder, which I think was the high point of the whole season. So
Tiki was hyping up, and I heard a few some other recommendations, just some soft recommendations, like, oh, check it out, you might like it. And then of course, and again, it's haunting me at this point, like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Give it a shot. Watched it, and on the whole, I mean, I think it's a great serialized conspiracy story. Of course, there's the '80s throwback element, which is not bad. I noticed season 1 isn't perfect. I'll say that, but it's not perfect. But there's a big ET element down to the Dungeons and Dragons of it all. I mean, there's definitely a huge ET influence, and it's very in your face in the first season. I'm not saying that worsens the show or anything. I'm just saying it's it's in the back of your mind almost every scene in that first season.
It's like 18 meets a kinder Akira.
Exactly. That's a good now. Yeah, that's a good comparison. And the main thing that kept me coming back, I mean, of course, just the fact that when you're in the Netflix zone, you kind of have to finish everything if you don't want to. Not that I didn't want to finish this. I'm just saying it's kind of the binging vortex, if you will. But they had a great young cast. Of course, Mike, Lucas, Dustin, Will. I thought they were all well cast and really interesting characters. And what boiled down for me, the sell element for me of it all was, it's a story about these good kids trying to save their friend who's gone missing. And along the way, they meet kind of our wow factor character, which is 11, who again is kind of our cooler version of E.T. in a way. And also you have like the government conspiracy angle. Another thing that was kind of impressing me. But again, I think on the whole, I like much kinder to the first season on the rewatch. I will say that I think it holds up better on the rewatch, considering as like a piece that's broken up into 8 parts. Like it doesn't hold up. It doesn't hold up on its own. You need to watch the whole thing, I think, to really appreciate the first season. I love that we throw the '80s teen stereotypes out the window here, where we kind of turn on its ear with Nancy, Jonathan, and especially Steve. Of course, with Steve we have he seemingly is going to be like a clear-cut '80s bully, but no, he's got a lot of dimension to him. And of course, by the end, of course, my favorite part of the first season is when we get to like episodes 7 and 8. The big thing, the other big thing I really got to give a shout out to is David Harbour. So I've seen David Harbour was a big element that really kept me enjoying the show, because I've seen David Harbour is one of those actors who it's like he's in a lot of TV. He's somewhat of a character actor, and that he's been in a lot of shows, and I've kind of noticed him in that. And it's like, oh yeah, I know that guy. Yeah, he was in Rake, the show with Greg Kinnear, and like, oh yeah, he was the bad guy in Green Hornet. It's like, hey, it's like it was that familiar face. And it's like, okay, this is a nice meaty role for him, because I liked him in the other stuff. He didn't really get enough of a meaty role in those other things. Except I guess Rake, he had an arc on Rake. Point is, it's like, oh yeah, David Harbour, and I got to watch. He had a cool character who essentially was a police chief version of Romero.
yeah.
Which is kind of fun. I love his backstory, love his performance, and of course, Winona Ryder. What else is to be said? I mean, she just plays the great, dedicated, desperate mother so well. I love Mr. Clark, the science teacher. I love him so much. He's great. I love when he shows up. And I think the build can be appreciated on the rewatching. You have to take it all in there. You can't just watch it episode. You just can't single out an episode in that first season. I mean, you have to buckle in for the long haul on a rewatch, and I think you'll enjoy it more. But yeah, I mean, when it gets to that end point, it's like the whole season's worth it. But again, there are those moments where it's like I want to fast forward. Or those moments where it's just like, okay, yeah, we'll just get to the good parts now. It's basically kind of the okay, no one's on the same page, and we're kind of circling some familiar territory. You're impressing me so much what you're doing with the teen dynamics. Let's just get there already. But on the whole, season 1, it's good. Just definitely had room for improvement that season 2 definitely capitalized on.
All right, so now let's just kind of get into season 2. Before we break down episode by episode, let's kind of lay the groundwork for our individual opinions on it, kind of our thoughts, our expectations going in, thoughts coming out. Jacob, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure, might as well. I mean, I was looking forward to. I was watching this. Of course, it was obviously announced after the season premiered, but what really got the hype train going, of course, as you guys can probably guess, was the Super Bowl commercial that released it.
Yeah, it was a
the
damn good commercial.
Yeah, like it showed like glimpses of the Upside Down, them in their Ghostbusters gear, and basically showed snippets of here and there, without really anything. Just like it's pretty much the classic '80s teaser, like where it doesn't it's in to entice you to sit down and watch, and of course the famous closing where it showed like a glimpse of the shadow monster,
Mm-hmm.
like just like a brief few frames of it before Stranger Things 2, October 27th. So, and of course, you see more going on and on. And the hype train keeps building and building. And then it finally arrived, and how appropriate for Halloween. Appropriate for Halloween this season was. I mean, it even has plots built around Halloween, which is pretty cool. I must say. But going forward, I mean, as we all stated before, I do believe that Stranger Things 2 actually did improve a lot on season 1. I mean, there are a few parts where it fell flat, or very few parts where it didn't improve, or just pretty much stayed the same. But overall, it was a very good improvement, and like the stakes were higher. It was like, I think it was actually better acted than the first season.
For sure.
It even had some much needed tension, like comedic relief that a lot of the first season lacked. The first season did have some humorous moments, but I think season 2 like balanced it out, like where like it's like, like definitely felt the progression, like probably like more natural than the first season was, like where it's like sometimes all over the place in a way, but it felt more natural here, if you ask me. Like, and overall, I just like the characters better this time. It's like they all have like, they're not necessarily nicer, but like you know who they are, you know their motivations, you know what they're doing, and you're deeply invested in what they do. And it all reaches a satisfying yet ambiguous conclusion which leaves you wanting more. Waiting for Stranger Things 3 potentially next Halloween.
All right, yeah, as I kind of alluded to, like I think this is a big step up from season 1. Outside of the one episode, which is just an embarrassing. It's like that one episode is like the big pimple on the forehead of the prom queen. I swear to God. But I'm trying not to focus too much on that.
Really? Are you, Tiki? Are you really trying not to focus on it?
Keep bringing it up.
A lot!
Okay, so season 2, honestly, I think season 2, like, there's so many things season 2 did right. Like, the new characters, for the most part, in season 2 were just so on point. Sean Astin as Bob. I mean, God, Bob might be my favorite character arc in the whole series. Like, Bob is just fantastic. I can't wait to talk about the minutia of Bob.
He's just a great regular guy.
Yeah. Of course, we have the new girl character in Max, who I gotta say I really like Max. I feel like she's kind of a divided character. I wish there was a little bit more for her to do in the season, but I just like her. I like how she's not like a typical female character. I think she fits very well into the the nerdy kind of dynamic. Anyway, so I feel like most of the new characters, like even Billy, who's just a straight up asshole, like Billy like represents every Stephen King bully ever. Like he's literally like every Stephen King bully ever rolled into one in a good way, I think. So I don't know. In season 2, I feel like season 2 kind of wore its 80s references more proudly on its sleeve, and the fact that it was set during Halloween kind of gave them a really nice, easy excuse to do that. Like, we got the Ghostbusters costumes and everything like that. Of course, episode 3 is just a straight up like, hey, you like E.T.? But yeah, overall, I mean, this season, like, I feel like every single character just stepped up their game for the most part. Mike took a back seat, I think, and that's because of the 11 situation. And I know, like, and also I feel like Mike, I kind of have a feeling, as other people have kind of pointed out, that Finn Wolfhard, you know, he has like a really substantial role in it. So I have a feeling that one of the reasons why Mike's storyline was kind of cut thin was because they didn't get that much time with Finn Wolfhard. But anyways, like I'm thinking that's probably why we focused more on, you know, Dustin and Lucas as a duo. But I mean, I love seeing all the family members in season 2. That was, I think, a thing that really improved from season 2, you know, from season 1 was like we get to see Lucas's bratty sister. Like Lucas's bratty sister kind of reminded me of you know, like an Angelica Pickles. You know what I mean? Like a Nickelodeon villain.
In a good way, of course.
Yes, yes. And I think by far the MVP of season 2. I'm not crazy about the Nancy storyline with what's his face, Jonathan. Like to me, that was besides episode 7. There's some moments in that storyline that I'm really not crazy about at all. Like that was probably the big kind of black mark besides episode 7. But Steve Harrington, my God, Steve Harrington is amazing in this season. Oh God, he is basically this season's version of Ash from Evil Dead, in my opinion. And then also, I think probably the most divisive thing about season 2 is the 11 story arc, which I gotta say, like, I love the opening act of the 11 story arc with David Harbour and, you know, like her, like that kind of like parental bond that develops and everything like that. All of that is just really, really solid. I thought it was really building somewhere, and it, like, overall, the 11 storyline wasn't bad. I just felt like I really wish there would have been a more natural way to kind of separate her and Mike besides the way that we got. Like, that was another scene. Like, I guess that kind of comes out, you know, straight out of an 80s, like, you know, 16 Candles, like, teen drama movie, you know, like, oh no, he's dancing with the other girl. But, I don't know, there's, like I said, there's moments, there's, like, little touches, like, here and there in season 2 that I would tweak, that I would kind of refocus. I think 11 probably should have come back into the fold a little earlier on than she did. And as I said, episode 7, but we'll get there. But overall, season 2 is just, it's fantastic, I think. It really is. Like, it's just oozing with atmosphere. I like I said, I feel like it wears the 80s references a lot better than season 1 does. And all the actors just step up their game. I mean, Winona Ryder in this season. The actor who plays Will is just freaking fantastic. I mean, that kid deserves an Emmy nomination. I need to give me a second.
Noah Schnapp. Noah Schnapp, I think.
Noah Schnapp, yeah.
Speaking of peanuts.
Oh my God, yeah, I just discovered that today. Did you guys, Dragon, did you know that this kid is Charlie Barron from the Peanuts movie? Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
I knew that too.
I just found that out, and that kind of blew my mind a little bit.
I didn't know when I was watching the first season of Stranger Things, but I knew, you know, this one.
Yeah, I mean, this kid, oh God, like first of all, the character of Will Byers unto himself is like such a tragic figure within this show, like with all he's gone through. But just, man, I mean, I just love the Exorcist angle they took with him. Of course, me being a horror movie fan, I feel like this season definitely leaned into like the horror movie tropes a lot more. I don't know. I'm gushing about it. Let's just get into it. I'm going to provide a quick.
Well, hey!
Oh, I am so sorry. What the hell is wrong with me?
We were trying to figure that out for years.
Thanks, Jacob. I appreciate the support.
Just kidding, Tiki.
Anyway, briefly.
I'm sorry, Dragon. That was really rude of me. I'm just really excited. I mean, there's so many good things to talk about.
No, we're going to get to it. Don't worry, Mr. Eagle. Right. We're getting there. Anyway, real quick. So my expectations going in. So going into it, really my main kind of source of information that going into the season was like San Diego Comic-Con and kind of the stuff that was coming after from that. Because, of course, the big engine of hype for me was that trailer from Comic-Con, Set the Thriller. I mean, it was great. I kept kind of a good block going on, but I kind of learned two things, man. Like what we got in that trailer which of course we got some great shots. It was lucky that somehow it was spaced out the way it was, so that I saw some really cool images. Yeah, there was just enough that I kind of forgot them going into the season because I really hadn't revisited the trailer since then, because there were some shots I'm really in love with this season. I just completely was like, going into fresh, despite the fact that I saw it, so I was kind of happy about that. But I also had a bit of hype around the character of Billy. Basically, I knew something about Billy going into it. Now, I'm not saying I was looking for. Well, okay, I was looking forward to see what I heard a description of what Billy was going to be.
Like every 80s bully ever.
Well, no, I heard a different sort of description. See, Kevin Smith, he did the IMDb interviews, and he mentioned, like, I want to say Hollywood Babylon, one of the podcasts, he mentioned that he had talked to one of the new teen actors. Basically, I heard like a new kid actor, new teen actor, new adult actor. There are multiple adult actors. Man,
there's no way this guy is in his teens.
Well, you know what I mean. Just
I know what you mean. I'm just saying. Fine, I think they cast this guy specifically to be like, hey, remember all those times that like the actors were playing high schoolers and they obviously weren't high schoolers,
especially when it was for the bad guys.
Right, exactly.
My point is
it's to make them look more intimidating.
Yes.
Right. I'm sorry, Dragon. Go ahead.
My point is what I heard. Basically, Kenson sat down with that character, with that guy, and he said that he was given the material he was given to prepare for the role was to play it like Jack from The Shining. Mm-hmm. So going into this season, I was kind of hyped to see. Oh wow, I wonder how that's going to be as like most likely an antagonist. Someone's going to go mad, because initially I thought it was going to be Steve who was going to be going on The Shining arc, but then I realized that it was a new guy. I was like, okay, well, we'll see. So basically, I kept my eyes peeled going into the season for a new young character, kind of teen yet older looking character. And
here's Billy.
So basically, throughout the season, I kind of had that on my mind. Going into it, I had my own theories. Yeah, nothing I was like desperate to see. I was just some kind of some guesses, I guess. Mainly, there was the young actors. They had done an interview with Greg Grunberg on Kevin Smith's other show. It was the TV show he had, Geeking Out with Kevin Smith and Greg Grunberg, where basically they had Lucas and Dustin. They had Lucas and Dustin from Stranger Things, and they were kind of talking about their theories. Like, again, that wasn't anything based on, like, it wasn't a spoiler. It's just them kind of spitballing about, they imagine like Will and Barb had powers, and perhaps that's why they were targeted. Basically, they would develop powers being in the Upside Down, hence the little cliffhanger from last season, the whole throwing up the slug. And, so basically that kind of was going to maybe, like, just kind of some maybes kind of floating there. Like, okay, maybe Will could develop powers like Eleven does. Hopper might be working for the Department of Water and Power, a.k.a. Hawkins' Lab. Because, again, my assumption was that maybe he's like the new boss. Because, again, it was... And I like this. Rewatching it, I like that Brennan. Again, it seemed like Brennan initially. I thought Brennan was dead, and that's why I thought Hopper was going to take over. But then again, we never saw the body drop on Brennan. I like that. That's kind of explored this season. We never saw the body drop.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the main thing I had going into the season, I figured there was going to be a Ghostbusters correlation to the Upside Down's Shadow Monster. I thought it was going to be like we were going to mirror kind of a bit of Ghostbusters with the Shadow Monster, which to a much smaller degree, we did do that. And it was kind of nice. Basically, kind of the big ominous Gozer-esque force. It was kind of some vague Ghostbusters in there. But again, it was mostly other stuff. So basically, that's what I had going into this season. A lot of hype after that Comic-Con trailer, and my reaction, very simply, is it pleased me very much. I think the season did exactly what a sequel does in the best ways, where it's kind of like it's kind of like, the Superman and the Donner Cup Superman 2, where we already established the world, we established the rules, we kind of had a foray into our characters, we got the origin out of the way, so now we can tell like a really honest-to-goodness Superman story. And that's kind of what we did here. We tell, like, we've established all these characters, they all have gone through the experience. Like, we captured my favorite part of season 1, which is the last 2 episodes where everyone's like, they're now aware of each other and they're all kind of linking up their stories. And that's what this whole season was. I was so happy with that. I mean, I knew it was kind of to be expected, but it just it felt like those last 2 episodes were just kind of the best episodes of that season, and it was basically keeping up that kind of that high from last season for the whole for the duration of the season for me. So I mean, I was very pleased with it. I was very pleased coming out of the season.
Alrighty, so let me just give a quick synopsis of season 2, and then we will get right into like kind of going episode by episode really quick.
Yeah.
All right, so season 2, 1 year later in Hawkins, Indiana, a young Will Byers is experiencing flashes to the haunting world of. Oh my God!
The upside down.
I'm so sorry. Wow, what?
And you know, drama that did build up is completely gone.
I know, right? I'm sorry. The haunting world of the upside down. I don't know what the hell I wanted to call it. Jesus Christ, I'm dumb. Oh God. Oh, I'm embarrassed now. Okay.
It's not like they don't keep saying it over and it's not like they don't keep saying it over and over again.
I know. So. All right, so 1 year later, young Will Byers is experiencing flashbacks from his haunting experience of the Upside Down. Or else, maybe they're not flashbacks at all. Maybe they are the Upside Down coming into this world as Police Chief Hopper is experiencing as he's, going through a routine kind of, or not so routine season of basically a bunch of stuff is seeping through from the Upside Down into our world. And as our party, if you will, as our gang of lovable characters gets introduced to a new character, a female party member named Mad Max, who brings a new level of tension into the group. 11 is forming a new bond, a new father-daughter bond with Jim Hopper, who has kind of taken her in secret. But alas, as the forces brew and as Will Byers becomes more and more sucked into the world of the Upside Down, paths divulge and cross, and we're left with a hell of a season, and we're left with a thrill ride, and we're left with demidogs. Demidogs. Yes. All right, I know.
Like Demogorgons. A lot better. Like Demogorgons and dogs.
These remind me of Devil Dogs, from Wreck-It Ralph. Remember the the devil cream filled.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
All right, so chapter 1, Mad Max.
Yeah. Oh, I guess the place to start would be, what do you guys think of the opening to this season with 8?
Kind of came out of nowhere.
You really want to know?
Well, again, just focus on the episode by just in itself.
Okay, I am focusing on the episode, and I thought it was a very abrupt, kind of awkward way to start. Like, Dragon, we're going to talk about the Defenders soon, and the Defenders doesn't have the best opening scene either, and I thought this was kind of in the same vein. It's just sort of like, okay, we're with characters that we don't care about in a place that we don't care about. I don't know. Like, it was, I guess it was a decent reveal, like, oh, there's people other than 11 out there. But I don't know. Like, the opening scene didn't really do it for me. But then again, maybe it's because of just my strong dislike for that whole storyline in general. So
I was saying, like, going into the season, that was kind of a cool, like, where the heck are we type of opening. And of course, with the ending, it's like it built some intrigue. Like, where are we going this season with this?
And then they don't even talk about it for several more episodes.
That's my problem. I mean, it doesn't show up until like practically the end of the season, and then when it does show up, as we'll talk about, it just completely cuts the tension and the momentum of the season off at the knees. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's a terrible storyline in its own right. I'm just saying the way that it was integrated into the season. I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, take or leave the opening scene. I personally think, it's just kind of pointless given that, given that it doesn't show up until so much further into the season. But I guess, it does have a layer of intrigue to it. I just wish it was paid off more.
Well, we start the episode with kind of a great new status quo. Again, it's kind of neat how we check back in with everyone, feel nice kind of organic storytelling in that regard. We just kind of see, okay, everyone's moved on. We have some logical aftermath with Will. Will is having these episodes, and of course we got a taste of that last season again with the whole the slug thing. Basically, he's kind of drifting into the upside down here and there.
Yeah, I think this episode is just a perfect kind of. It's just the kids being kids for the most part, except for a couple flashes of the Upside Down on Will's behalf. And I think that's just a perfect way to start because, I feel like I've heard some people complain about the pace of this season, and I really don't see that at all. I think this season is paced perfectly, and I think a big part of that is because we get so much more time with the characters just being themselves. You know what I mean?
So I love the arcade setting, but I tell you one thing though, I love the arcades. I love all the stuff they do there. One problem though, this thing. It's like the small thing that keeps bugging me with this season. I don't like that. Mike. He steals his sister's money at the beginning there. It's really. I mean, it just feels like such like. I mean, why would he? Why can't his parents seem like cool people? The mother seemed really nice, and Mrs. Will seemed really nice in the other season. Like, why go? You just ask them for it or something, or ask the sister.
Kids.
Yeah, but like stealing the money, they gets punished. That just seems like we just kind of. It sounds like we just threw that in there. It's like, hey, it's a kid-like thing, right? It feels like throwing it in there. That's what I'm saying. It's like the one nitpick I have.
But I love Dre. I cannot stress how much I love the evolution from the cold open in season 1 being the Dungeons and Dragons thing to this being Dragon's Lair. Dragon. I'm sure that when you saw that, you thought of me because I love Don Bluth.
Well, yeah, but we kind of knew this going into the season with that trailer. But you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, we, of course, forgetting a little bit of stuff going into it. Yeah. I mean,
I got to say, the Dragon's Lair thing was one of the things I kind of forgot about from the trailer, Dragon, because I was kind of in the position of you where I watched the trailer once or twice and then kind of forgot about it.
Right, but I'm with you there too. Yeah, it was a great logical progression there. It's just it's a lot of fun. Of course, the idea that's why they need all the coins because it's a money eating machine.
And yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Oh yeah.
I need to make him. I just remembered I need to make amends to my introduction. I actually started watching this series after the Super Bowl trailer.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, I saw the Super Bowl trailer for season 2. Then I was like, wait, I have to watch episode 1. I saw season 1 now. so sorry, brief addendum.
We get a lot of great kind of setup in this first episode, like the pumpkins. The idea with the pumpkins, I think, is really cool, and it's a good Halloween.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's one of those things where it's like to some people it's slow paced, but to me it just builds up the intrigue. You know what I mean?
I want to say this though, with the exception of one episode, which we'll get to, I really like how we kind of structured the directing schedule for this season on the whole. Because basically, it was like the Duffer Brothers, of course, being the series creators, of course, they get a little bit more leeway there. But the fact that they did it in 2-episode chunks, where basically the Duffer Brothers did kind of like essentially they did 2 arcs, where they did the first 2 episodes and the last 2 episodes, and Sean Levy, he did 2 episodes, and Andrew Stanton, who I think did an excellent job, did 2.
And then some other person did 1 episode.
Yeah, which of course we'll get there.
Oh, anyway. So that's why that 1 episode feels so out of place.
Look, let's not jump to let's not just put it all on that poor director, okay? Let's
honestly, this season should have been 8 episodes. Like, there's no reason for that 9th episode.
And yeah, it's a shame that episode had a really good writer. It was the one who the same writer who did episode 7 from last season. It was in those 2 episodes I really loved from last season.
All right.
Anyway, but again, with continuing like kind of the world building we get here too, like we meet the new head of the of Hawkins Lab, Dr. Owens, Paul Reiser. What do you guys think of Paul Reiser?
He's great.
I love how they do the friendly doctor introduction. I love how he.
Oh yes, yeah.
He's a nice doctor initially.
Yeah. He actually wasn't that bad of a guy in the end, actually.
Yeah, I know. I love that. We didn't have like another Brennan on our hands.
Mm-hmm. He was actually. They said he actually was trying to help most of the time. It's like if you notice anything, he was actually putting Will forward instead of like it's like screw our research. We need to help this kid.
That's true. And of course, Bob. Of course, great introduction to Bob.
Oh God, Bob is so good.
We all unanimously love Bob, right?
I think the world unanimously loves Bob.
Yes. Oh god, and again, Sean Astin, he still got it, man. He still got it.
This is a slight spoiler, but like I said that the subtitle season 2 should have been The Tragedy of Bob.
God.
You know what? I'm gonna read into it. This is gonna be kind of weird.
I get to date Joyce Byers.
He's so adorable. But speaking of that, I wanted to kind of weigh in on the Joyce-Bob relationship for a moment because something kind of occurred to me when I was watching it. Again, I know it's like a weird Freudian thing here, but if you think about it, it makes a little sense. That Bob is unlike the guys that she is. Bob is. He's very much a different. He's a nice guy. He's a humble guy. He's very much in line with kind of what our young characters are on the show. Mainly Will. He's a quiet guy. He's not a jock by any stretch. And I'm just saying again, I don't want to put too much of an edible spin on it, but if you look at it this way, it's that she has similar qualities of Will.
Oh yeah, and Jonathan as well, with the kind of the quiet, reserved side.
And I think that's kind of speaks to it kind of speaks to kind of a quality that she likes in the men in her life, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
There's something put out there. It's kind of occurred to me, which kind of makes sense why she would go to a guy like Bob instead of Hopper, which a lot of people are shipping Hopper and Joyce Byers.
Honestly, though, that ship was kind of like the reason why Bob was doomed, I think.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I like those two together as well. Of course, it's not in the card. I love that David Harbour's explanation for why that didn't happen this season, because like right after what happens, like come on, you can't really move in on her at that point.
Right.
Well, and I was kind of worried that they'd like pull a whole love triangle angle in this season, but I'm kind of glad they didn't go that far.
That's the thing to commend about this show. They're really smart about how they're handling the love triangles and stuff. Like, we're not doing any of that.
Yeah, with the exception of one moment that we'll get to.
Well, still, I think
like I said, it's a moment.
Anyway, okay, we'll get there.
Said, like Dragon said, they handled it well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, well, fine, we'll get there. My point. Well, here's another great scene I wanted to highlight real quick. Is I love the dinner with Barb's parents. I love meeting Barb's parents in the KFC. I love the sad portrait of what kind of Barbara's disappearance has left in its wake here. With basically, it's like living in a world post the conspiracy of season 1, and you have like the shattered lives in the wake of that, and you have these kind, sweet people who are just the very humble people, and Nancy and Steve, people who are directly involved in the conflict from last season. They are, they have to kind of look these people, sit across from these people who lost their daughter to this thing they can never know about, and it breaks Nancy's heart. It's a really good scene. Again, it's a really well written, well acted scene. I was really in love with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good scene on its own. I gotta say, I'm not crazy about the Barb. I'm not crazy about the Barb storyline in the season as a whole, because honestly, like, I feel like there was a little too much of it. It kind of felt like it was just sort of like pandering, like, oh yeah. Okay, we have this huge Twitter campaign, so I guess we've got to put in more Barb stuff this season. You're
right that at Tiki, I agree with you that it was pandering, but at the same time, I like that I think they worked it in the best they could in terms of, like, again, they wasn't saying we addressed the parent side of it there. I think it's a good way of addressing the Barb stuff. So,
I agree.
And like Tiki also said, like, it's like, for some reason they have a strange habit of building up these likable characters and killing them that begin and end with the letter B.
Yep. So any new character next season that begins and ends with the letter B, they're doomed. They're doomed. They're gone.
That would be a great tradition. That'd be kind of neat. All right, let's see. Well, wait a minute. We have another character with a B in their name. Maybe he's doomed next season.
Oh, God. Who? Billy? Yeah, oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
What his name doesn't end with B, though?
Oh, right. So it has to be, okay, B. Wait, Bob's last name isn't, Bob isn't a BB.
No, it's like Bob.
Yeah.
Oh, so okay,
yeah,
that two B's in the first name. Okay, I got you. Okay, yeah, right, you're right. We got to be on the lookout for that. Okay, I'm going to keep my eyes peeled.
We have to look out for anybody with that naming pattern.
How do we like the design of the shadow monster? Because I love it.
It's like I like that you don't actually fully see it. Like it's hidden behind the shadow.
I like that it reflects kind of the way we experience the Upside Down this season. It looks very kind of like tunnely and kind of like it's like an amalgamation of the tunnels, but it's walking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it reminded me in like many ways that you probably guys will agree of the Xenomorph.
I see a little in the head, especially. I see that. I can see where I don't necessarily agree, but I can absolutely see it.
And in the fact that a lot of it you don't really even see a lot of the time. Like it's mostly hidden.
Honestly, it reminds me more of Cthulhu.
Honestly, when it's revealed, it kind of reminds me of Close Encounters. Remember, like the light behind the door and everything. Kind of a little bit of Close Encounters vibe there.
Well, all classic monster horror stories
from the 80s,
except
and
for
70s.
Cthulhu.
Oh, right, sorry.
And the 40s.
And of course, I really like the 11 reveal at the end. More so like what we do with her next episode. But like, hey, it's 11, and she has hair. Oh my god! And then she's
I
bonding.
like how that moment's played because it's like at first we think we're not going to see her, but then as soon as we see the Egos on the table, we're like, oh, there we go. We know. Like that was a good bit of fan service.
At first, it almost seems like Hopper's like going nuts.
Maybe 11 wasn't there the whole time.
We should briefly talk about the introduction to Max and Billy.
Oh yeah, Cecilius. Yes, you're right, Tiki. We should do that.
Yeah, so I really, like I said, I really like how Max is brought into the story. She's brought in a really natural way. With the Dig Dug game, the high score. The initials, the Mad Max. We kind of get the the question of the gender. I thought all that was really naturally handled.
Yeah, I'm going to say this about Billy again. Billy was the character that's coming into the season knowing a little bit of... Yes, Jake?
I was going to say all in classic 80s sensibilities, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And again, I had expectations for Billy, and again, we kind of get there towards the end, but just in the beginning, I'm not judging it just based on those expectations at the beginning, but honestly, just Billy as a whole, he's very menacing, but I just think he's just a little... He wasn't my favorite part of the season, let's say. Nothing really wrong with him. He just felt like... he's like a little... Again, he just felt like kind of the 80s bully ramped up. It's kind of like the show usually kind of fights the stereotypes.
I think his charisma is kind of like more than the sum of his parts in terms of the character.
Sometimes it just felt like tacked on, oh, Max needs a conflict. How about an older brother?
Right. Especially like towards the... I don't know, like towards the end
he felt kind of plotty. He felt kind of plotty.
Exactly. All right. Okay, so yeah, let's move on to episode 2,
which is, I think, across the board, one of everyone's favorites. So it's a really good one.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's definitely in my top 3 or 4. I wouldn't say it's my favorite of the season, but yeah, it's great. Trick or Treat Freak.
One, I love the... I'm sorry, Jake.
I was just saying, I agree, and I love the episode too.
I love the 11 link up. I love how we do that, especially here, but also we keep doing this episode. I want to say the next episode as well. But this we directly start following basically all the intrigue we would have about 11 at the end of the last episode. We go back and kind of fill in the time we have with that month gap from the end of last season. Where she's basically walked through the other side. She was able to kind of walk through the other side back to reality again, and that's she was hiding from the bad men, which is why she was kind of keeping distance from Mike. So again, it's neat to see that all that come into the fray. And just overall, I mean, the relationship between her and Hopper, I love it because it just fits that great tragedy of the Hopper character that he lost his daughter, and I love that. And we could kind of see it. You could kind of see it coming in the first season. For a moment in the first season, I was wondering, is it going to be revealed that this is actually the daughter Hopper lost? It wasn't, but basically, I've always kind of thought those two characters were kind of destined to kind of meet each other in a big way, and I like that this season we kind of did that, where she is filling the daughter void that that he had, and I thought it was a really sweet direction to go in.
And I love its payoff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, so the Halloween stuff in this episode is just special. I mean, it's honestly some of the best Halloween stuff I've seen in anything in years.
I love that.
I would wager to say this might be my favorite Halloween episode. This is a bold statement from me. This might be my favorite Halloween episode since Summerween from Gravity Falls. It's that good. This might be a yearly tradition for me.
Next year for Haunted Holiday Hijinks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Trick or treat. I love the Ghostbusters choice of Of course, it fits the 1984.
I love the montage of the parents taking pictures of them. That was so great.
You're right. And by the way, speaking of the parents, I think my favorite of the parental additions, I love Dustin's mom. Dustin's mom is so sweet. Yes. She's so sweet. She's such a cat lover, and
I feel like Dustin's mom is kind of like Jacob. You've seen it, right?
Yeah, I was about to say that she was I forget the kid's name, but the fat kid, his mom. but much better.
Okay, so basically, like, this character is like Eddie's mom from It if she wasn't a sociopath and if she was like a genuinely like really good mom.
Well, she's a bit ditzy here, but like she's a nice woman. She's like generally cares about Dusty and like loves her and loves Muse.
Oh God. Oh, don't remind me of Muse. Oh God.
Lucas. By the way, I just want to say it too. Lucas's parents are funny. You know, I just love that they look. You know, it's just that question he posed to his parents later in the season. What do you do when she's wrong? Oh, your mother's never wrong.
Like I said, Lucas's little sister is honestly, I think, one of the sleeper hits of the season.
Honestly, you know what? I mean, she wasn't bad or anything. I think I liked. I thought the mother was. I liked the mother a little bit more.
Honestly, I think as long as his sister stays in small doses.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't think she'd work as like a, if she was like trying to join the party or something, but as small doses is just like a minor antagonist. I think she works really well.
But I mean, I do love the dynamic the little sister has with basically kind of have this great triangle going on here. Where you have Lucas, he's dressed up like the ghost. He's dressed up like a Ghostbuster, and the mother's like, oh, and she's taking pictures. She's all so proud and bubbly, and then of course just like a smart remark, and then he's like, hey, shush up, and then just take another picture. I mean, I like that little kind of that conflicting triangle. It's cute. It's cute.
He definitely plays the good part of a younger sister. I mean, like that's. I mean, I'm the youngest of mine, so I never actually had a younger sister. But from what I've seen, that's exactly what a younger sister would do to a younger brother. I
love how makeshift the Ghostbusters proton packs are. When basically they have either guns painted black or they have like vacuum cleaner hoses. It's really.
I like how they're not like store-bought costumes. Like they each made them individually, and so they each kind of have their own quirks. You know what I mean?
I like Dustin's custom-made trap.
Yeah, it's awesome, and that speaks to this great quality I've loved there since the first season. Where these kids are big, the big science buffs, and that's kind of a reason they really kind of idolize Mr. Clark to an extent. Well, I mean, they really like the guy, and I like the actor actually who plays Mr. Clark. He did an interview where basically none of the kids in the class are interested in science except for these four, so he's always kind of playing to these four in the crowd. And it's always kind of sweet, and Again, it's nice to see like kind of that show and like these little doses where they're very a lot of ingenuity obviously from the last season of like making the salt water the sense deprivation tank and making all that stuff. It was neat to see.
He saved the world twice and he doesn't even know.
Yep. Okay, the car scene. We got to talk about, speaking of the Ghostbusters, we got to talk about that terrifying car scene with Billy.
Oh yeah.
Almost ran over him.
Oh no! Is this before or after they go to school and they realize that nobody else dressed up?
It's after they were going home from school.
All right.
Oh, but yeah, man,
this is very much Billy kind of fitting the role of like the Stephen King kind of like sociopathic bully who's like taking a step beyond.
Have you guys ever had that when you go to school and you're in the costume and have you ever had like that fear or anything? Because I think that's felt like that tapped into something. Them showing up at the school and it's that horror of like the realization.
I have, yes, but I've never experienced it where like it was a negative thing. I remember one year I went to school and I was like rocking a costume that I was really proud of. It was Garth from Wayne's World. And hardly anyone else was dressed up, but I got a lot of props for it. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't a negative thing at all.
Right.
So
I mean, come on,
I have some anxiety about it, but I didn't experience kind of the humiliation factor that these guys felt.
And come on, Ghostbusters are cool. I mean, like everybody liked Ghostbusters in '84. Like I don't know why
who you gonna call? The dorks.
Yeah, that's unfair. It's a little unrealistic. Come on.
People loved Ghostbusters. I mean, come on.
My guess is that the movie was relatively new. That's a guess, maybe.
Like, even back then, I heard it was like relatively popular.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's kind of a hole, but yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it was, but I mean, it wasn't like a cultural sensation like it is now. Like now, it's like a cultural hallmark.
Yeah, it's like semantics in an alternate universe. Who cares?
Yeah.
So, I guess we should talk about the big Nancy scene.
Yeah. Like I said, Nancy is one of those characters. I like her where her character ends up. I just don't necessarily like the journey to get there, shall we say?
My heart goes out to Steve in this episode.
I felt so bad for Steve. I felt, and I honestly, when Steve broke up with Nancy in this episode, I was like, yeah. Or wait, is it this episode or next episode?
That's the next episode.
Yeah, it's next episode.
Okay, my bad. Like when he does it, it's like I'm like, yeah, you tell her.
Essentially, she kind of broke his heart here, saying that in a drunken state, she's kind of ranting, basically gives him the BS rant, and then basically says, essentially says, I don't love you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, I felt so like Steve is just like such a. I don't know. He's so lovable. He's a really good actor. Yeah. And honestly, I think Jonathan is still kind of a creep this season. If I'm being completely honest,
he's fine this season. Come on, what's wrong with him?
He wasn't a creep this season.
I don't know. It's just something about his body language. It is, maybe it's the actor. Like, I don't think he's particularly one of the better actors on the show.
I just think you hate Jonathan. That's what I think. I just think he rubbed
you
the wrong.
If anything, Jonathan would be like the character that I most relate to. So if I hate Jonathan, then I hate myself. That sounds about right.
So, Mr. Mom.
Oh, God. Oh, Sean Astin is just on fire this episode.
I love that he picked Mr. And I love the fact that it's a Halloween pick because there was that scene where, they do go after Halloween in that movie. That was why it's such a perfect Oh,
and the fact that they love Lord of the Rings and they have one of the main actors in there.
And of course, I think probably one of the most lovable moments in like both the seasons is Sean Astin in the Dracula costume. I hope it doesn't suck. I mean that right there. It's like if you weren't in love with Bob by then, it's like you're just sold.
I like the zombie boy kind of moniker that Will's been saddled with. I mean, that's like just shows you how kind of prickish kids can be there when they're telling you, "Hey, I came back from the dead. I'm getting mocked for it." Right. The whole zombie boy thing. And of course, basically the big bullying scene where Will has the camera. I like that. That's his connection to Bob. That Bob was the one who kind of brought the video camera into the season, because of the Radio Shack thing. And
I really love how natural Bob's AV background works its way into the season.
And I just I just like how Bob was just like this regular guy, just trying to he's obviously new to this family, but he's like trying his best to even though they're not officially a couple, they're a couple, but like engaged or anything yet. Like he's already trying to step up to be a good dad for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a nice guy and a nice role model, if I'd say so myself.
And he has good chemistry with Joyce.
Yeah, I mean, he's got great chemistry with Joyce. I mean, I love
Joyce Byers.
It's like they brought the best out of each other. If you ask me, it's like where last season, like Joyce was basically on her own. It's like if you asked her who Jonathan was, she's like, "Who's Jonathan?"
Right. It's kind of like the Matthew McConaughey Murph thing in Interstellar.
It's like I only have one son. His name is Will. I mean, that's only like my main grievance of the last season because she was like too focused on Will, but I can understand why, of course.
Well, yeah, it's very like It's...
I mean, but it's like here's like
my kid's in the freaking wall.
I was like, yeah, don't get me wrong, I understand why, so that's why it's not really a big grievance. But the thing is, like, they bring out the best of each other here. It's like Bob brings out the best in Joyce. Joyce brings out the best in Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even though, never mind.
Every time you say that whole I'm dating Joyce Byers, there's a Bob funeral kicking off somewhere.
Oh God!
There's like a testimonial to Bob going on somewhere. You hear like all these people crying over Bob because again, it's so adorable every time you bring it up. Like Joyce Byers.
I honestly thought from the looks of early things, it looked like Joyce is gonna get tired of Bob, but I'm honestly glad they didn't go that way either.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. I think I would have been happy to settle down with him if he would have, not stopped and stared fondly at her. We'll get to that.
He was a young boy in love, Tiki.
Look, I like the way that moment's played. I'm just saying, we'll get to it.
It's clear that like they've known each other for a long time, but he's finally got he's got his chance with the girl he's loved for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He's drifting on a cloud of love, darn it.
God.
But also, I love how he visits her at work and asking about the green, the green jack-o'-lantern, and of course it kind of ends with like the lunchtime visits, between these two, like kind of romancing each other at lunch. It's really sweet.
I mean, admittedly, the opening scenes kind of worried me because he's gonna force himself onto her. Like she was gonna become like aggressive and stuff like that. But no, it's he did grow on me, especially with the I hope it doesn't suck.
I hope it doesn't suck.
He's like Count Chocula.
You're right. He looks kind of Chocula-esque. So yes, just getting back to Will here. Of course, the trick or treating thing. I like the Max came around. I like how fast Max came on board. I like that we didn't draw it out too long. Mm-hmm. Just like about this next episode, they invite her. What do you think about kind of the vague love triangle we have between Dustin, Lucas, and?
I think it's a love triangle that it kind of reminds me of the way that they handle love triangles in It, where it's not really a focus of the story. Like, yeah, it's kind of there, but they don't linger on it or make a big deal out of it at all.
Yeah.
And I like how it leads to Dustin's bonding with Steve.
Yeah, for sure.
And
it's a natural progression. Like he's asking Steve for basically relationship advice.
Yeah. So getting back to we're almost done episode 2 here, but
speaking of the tension, though, I really do. I'm not crazy about the way the 11 Mike and Max thing kind of. Yeah, I'm not overall crazy about that, but I do like the tension between Mike and Max. Like, I think it makes all the sense in the world that Mike would be super hesitant for this girl to kind of come in and take up half the party's full attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah, again, just basically in a way he feels like he's betraying 11 by just kind of letting her. Basically, it's like I'm replacing 11 where no one can replace 11.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In a way, just again, not like a relationship way, just basically kind of letting her in, just being kind of the new X factor of the team.
Because 11 was very much the X factor of the party back in season 1.
Yeah. So
it's pretty much the only reason they're alive.
Right, pretty much.
Yep. So yeah, man, I love how there's such a well-directed scene in this episode where Will's bullied, and we have that kind of that perspective with the camera, and then of course as he's knocked to the ground, then he's in the upside down. It's horrifying that he can't get. I love the sense of he's calling out for Mike, and we know he's in suburbia. We're not sure how much he can interact with people. Again, we've seen the other side of it, but we've never quite seen can he bump into people when he's running away or not? Because he's calling for Mike, and he's running away from this thing. He has to hide and cower, and of course it's looking for him. It's a really cool device. It's really well directed.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
The brothers Duffer did a good job.
Yeah. Of course, we have the Polywog ending.
It's like he hears the rattle like, holy shit, cue Ghostbusters.
I know, it's great. It's great. Okay, episode 2 is a really strong one. So let's go to episode 3.
Episode 3 is honestly one of my top 2 along with episode 8. I would say episode 2 is probably comfortably number 3. I love the Polywog.
This is a Sean Levy one.
It strikes it out of the park for me.
So we have a boy and his future upside down killer.
Oh God! Oh man! This is the kind of thing where it's obvious that they're doing ET, but like I said, I like how tongue in cheek we are. We literally see ET on the dresser. Yep.
It's a really interesting. The one question though, what happened to the turtle?
I was just going to bring that up.
I found out. I know what happens to the turtle.
Oh, really?
The Duffer Brothers confirmed that Yertle is alive. Yertle's alive.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, thank God.
Yertle survived. He's okay. He'll be back.
Oh, turtles. I mean, because I was I have 2 pet turtles of my own.
Yeah,
I was
right.
and I'm like, please don't eat the turtle.
But rest assured, turtle lovers, he's okay. Yertle's on sabbatical. He's fine.
Hopefully, they show something in season 3 that confirms that, because they never really showed him after he took him out of his tank.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I assume he wanted some laundry. He's probably fine.
because especially after what happened to Muse.
Oh, yeah, poor cat. Well, that's in the next episode. We're jumping ahead a little here. Let's just break. Point is, this is like this is the cute phase of Dart. Basically, Dart grows to the size of a frog at this point in the episode. Anyway, so, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's a neat take on it. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that it directly is the thing that Will coughed up that went through the sewers and just kind of came out of the other side, or do you think it's another kind of upside down kind of breaching in our world thing? What do you think?
I mean, given how many like demidogs and everything are in this season, I'd wager to say it's probably just like I think it'd be a pretty big coincidence if it was the exact slug that Will coughed up.
Well, okay, let me ask you this: if not the exact slug, do you think they actually start off as the slug and then grow into that?
I think so. Yeah, I would say it's definitely the same.
I have some doubts about that because it was shown that that Dart was like small, then suddenly grew huge within a few days. So considering this takes place like a year after the last one, I highly doubt it's the same slug.
Oh, sure. I mean, not the same level. You think it's the same type of creature, though? I mean, like, you think it's a slug turns into like a little walking thing, and then
Quite. I mean, I can see that. Yeah.
Okay. I love these. Again, we get the rest of the 11 kind of time gap here, where we have the Christmas Eggos.
Yeah, I really like how they play up the flashback through the 2 episodes. Again, I've heard some people kind of complain about pacing, but I think it's paced perfectly. I think we get a lot of substance out of the 11 and Hopper storyline. We
get that cute dance.
I want his candy Eggo. It's like the best thing. It's only 9,000 calories.
I love the running gag of if you don't eat with me, I'm just gonna get fat out here. Just gonna get fat and die out here.
Also, can I just say David Arbor, like, this season is basically his Hellboy audition.
Yep. And again, he's an excellent choice for Hellboy, I want to say. And this season is like his whole series is absolutely proof of that.
And of course, the infamous dancing scene.
Yeah, don't mess around with Jim. It's cute.
Yeah.
Of course, we have Bob's very bad advice.
Oh God!
As much as we love Bob, as much as we love him,
like at that point, they were kind of suspicious that Bob might be like a government plan or something, like trying to. I don't know. Like I never bought into that, but there were some people who were.
I mean, you got to give credit where it's due. I mean, like he had no idea that the whole upside down. He wasn't really filled on the whole upside down thing, and so it's like he really had no idea that it was actually real. So it's like still admirable advice.
Oh yeah, no, it is very admirable advice, and honestly, it's one of my favorite Bob scenes, in spite of how terribly it goes. Just because, just because it's Bob just genuinely trying to reach out and be a father to this kid who needs a father figure in his life.
It makes for a fantastic ending, though. It's a great setup with a fantastic. I love that we cut back to the clip too, as the advice is not going.
It's clear he like has the best intentions. He's clearly not being malicious to Will. I mean, like either he's like hiding malicious intent very well, or he's like genuinely trying to help Will overcome this genuine fear.
Also, he's talking about a killer clown.
Yes,
a killer clown.
All right.
Said.
And with Bob, another thing I really liked, I love the how Joyce calls Bob to figure out how to work the VCR so she can look at the camera.
You're right. That's what I'm saying. Like his Radio Shack skills come into play in the plot so well within the course of the season.
I think it's kind of interesting that the camera is still able to capture the shadow monster to begin with.
Again, I think that's like kind of that. I just think it's like the otherworldly quality of the Upside Down. It's able to do that. I think that's kind of cool.
I think my theory is that it's like because like it was like Bill was holding it and then he dropped it and that's when it went back.
That's not bad. I could go with that. I like that. I think it's a decent explanation.
It's not like he was actually. I mean, he doesn't actually leave, but I mean, like it could have been like sensing it or something. I don't know. It's a weird theory. Considering he doesn't actually physically go to the Upside Down, it's like in his head.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact he was touching the thing when maybe it's like some sort of bizarre psychic link, possibly. I don't know.
It's not really. It doesn't really need to be explained.
Sure. It's just kind of cool and otherworldly. So, So you have Steve dealing with Billy again, who's a real creep, and again, like the scenes where they're playing basketball. It's like this is where we rank, we kind of wrap, we really get the '80s cheese going on these scenes.
Yeah, oh yeah,
like,
oh yeah.
In every scene, this kid's shirtless.
I mean, I was watching with someone, and I was like, all right, if they're trying to paint him as the world's biggest douche, they've succeeded.
Yeah, because he's smart talking while they're playing ball, and in the shower, he's unnecessary turning off the water. It's like real creepy how this guy's getting so close and stuff.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, they're totally trying to paint him as the biggest dick in the show.
Yep.
So,
and then all the stuff with Dustin, and then I love Dustin, and then the science teacher, like how they're trying to present Dart to the science teacher.
Yeah, and he's worried that Mr. Clark's going to take credit for the discovery. Again, as much as they love him, I think Dustin was probably the biggest fan of Mr. Clark. I mean, most of their fans, this guy's like worried, oh, he's going to take credit for it. I know. Now the true colors come out.
And just everything with Dustin at school, trying to hide the, trying to hide the creature and failing at it. It's all so fun.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Yes, we have. Here's the bit where here's the infamous bit of 11. She escapes her little. She escapes the cabin that she's held up at, and she kind of visits the school because she's seeking out Mike, and of course she sees Mike hanging around with Sam. I'm sorry, Max. Max.
Yeah, it's it's not a bad setup. Like it's kind of just like one of those weird, like, fork in the road sort of moments for the storyline of the season where I wish that they would have just brought 11 into the, because honestly, I was totally expecting from this moment on that 11 would be, a part of the group again. And it'd be all about kind of like, like them trying to cover her up again and everything. But I don't know, just 11 like going off and doing her own thing. Like I said, it's not the scene itself that bothers me. It's just what they do with her character after that.
What about interesting to see her dynamic with Max fleshed out more?
Oh, I'm sure that's a thing they're building in season 3. Yeah,
it was. Tiki, I agree with you to an extent. Where in this scene specifically, I was not thrilled with. Like again, the show usually goes above and beyond. Like, okay, we're not doing the obvious thing. Where in this case, like, okay, yeah, we're doing the misunderstanding, which is going to need to be clarified. I mean, I like how it gets clarified later, very easily clarified, kind of forgotten. But again, it takes a while to get there. So we kind of. Yeah, but it's a device so she doesn't join our group instantly fast, and it feels a little hackney. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, I think it would have served the season better. I mean, it's not exactly the story they were going for, but just I think it really would have served the season better to have her join in the main party for most of the time. I don't know. I don't know why they didn't do that. I don't know why they felt the need to kind of send her on this whole spirit quest.
Well, I mean, the stuff with the mother, I mean, she did kind of need to figure that out a little.
I mean, yeah, that was interesting. I don't necessarily think that was like, yeah. Anyways, we'll get into that.
All right. So let's see. Well here. Of course, Will is possessed at the end. Of course, it's a thrilling sequence, just kind of echoing Bob's words from earlier as Will, like, go away. And of course, he's just standing around.
Horribly wrong.
And again, it's such a wonderful ending to the episode, really solid ending. So then we get.
I mean, sure, it's kind of Bob's fault, but you really can't blame him.
Of course, now we love Bob. Darn it, he died for our sins.
All hail Lord Bob.
All hail Bob. All hail Bob.
So episode chapter 4, Will the Wise.
So we have that. So in the aftermath of the Will being possessed, when eventually they snap him out of it. Here we have a fantastic, such a well acted scene with no snapping, no Winona Ryder. They do such a fantastic job in the opening scene where, basically Joyce is talking to Will. He just breaks down. He's just so terrified. He doesn't know what happened. He's describing like the darkness that overtook him. It's like, oh god, it's a heartbreaking scene. Her reaction is it's kind of funny. Honest Trailers, I think they did a sort of a. They kind of pointed this out. This never occurred to me, but I have to agree with them. She does this thing so well, and it's kind of like how Tiki, we have all of our kind of our barometers for all the things we love about Vera Farmiga. We have like all of our we know Farmiga like the back of our hand. In this case, Winona Ryder, she has a signature look. She does they call it a Winona look. Basically, what she does she takes in like the horror of like gives that reaction, like, oh, it's like she does all throughout the show, and in other stuff now they bring up, like, yeah, it's kind of the pulling Winona look, and it's perfect. Winona Ryder signature.
Let me see.
We have Nancy and Jonathan. They go to Hawk. They do the little. We have that great paranoid-filled scene. This is a really nicely shot by Levy here. Basically, they're baiting Hawkins' lab to abscond with them. Basically, they kidnap them and take them to Hawkins' lab.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I love how that shot, because again, you look at everyone suspiciously in that scene, like, oh god, is it the kid, or is it the kids? Like, it could be anyone. Of course, like the car won't start. I love the detail that the car won't start, and the fact they did something to the car while they were out. So terrifying. There's a friendly guy taps on, car trouble? Can I give you a lift? And it's like, hey, they can't escape. This is their corner anyway. So they go to Hawkins' lab, and we have that intimidating, yet again, Paul Reiser doing such a great job where he's giving a very friendly threat.
Right.
Yes.
Or he's kind of warning, we're keeping this under wraps, we're getting rid of things, of course, by any means necessary.
All right. So I thought the standout thing in this episode was, like I said, just the way that Will's storyline develops. I love the device where, his temperature is like, he's like really hot, right?
Yes, he's really.
Yeah. So it's like, they're having to like blow fans on him, and he's having to like take off his shirt and everything. And
Sound like it hot, but not this thing.
Yeah, he's going for cold baths and everything. He wants to be cold.
Like, I really like that development of, where Joyce, she's just trying to be the best mom she can in the situation, but the situation's just so horrifying. Like I said, this is definitely like the first shades we get as will be developed as we go through this season of kind of the exorcist of it all with Will.
No, it's kind of interesting they didn't think about, say he doesn't like heat. Well, maybe too bad they didn't think about inflicting him with so much heat until later.
Yeah.
Right.
We have the big altercation between Hopper and 11.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that was intense.
Oh yeah, and again, I like that. This is where the whole Max thing is starting to come into play. 11's already in a bad mood. Then of course Hopper, basically for months. Well, not for months, for like I guess a month or. Well, actually, wait,
almost a year.
Yeah, a year actually. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, she's been like counting like every day. Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember the really heartfelt line.
She knows because of Mike's messages.
Yes, and yeah, I mean for a year Hopper's been telling her the same thing, like soon. Again, of course, soon is getting further and further away, and he hasn't calmed down. And again, Hopper's right. Hopper's in the right, but he should have found another way to explain it to her. That's kind of the feeling. And again, as a guy who never got to experience being a father for very long, so you understand like, there's a definite learning curve between the two of them.
Especially considering his previous daughter most likely didn't have psionic powers.
Well, that too, and again, like it's really again dealing with kind of the impulsiveness of 11 with her powers. There, she's just kind of using them when she's in a really foul mood, and she's just having a tantrum. It's like breaking the windows, throwing. I love it's like the subtle moves, like moving the couch, like they hit him in the shin.
It's like that's totally what she's doing. She's like a teenager throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah. And again, it's like they're both in kind of uncharted territory with each other, and it just leads to them both getting really kind of nasty to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, but the most cutting thing was when she compared him to Papa.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That was brutal.
I like how offended he gets at that too.
I was actually almost expecting that. I mean, I was almost like she's going to compare him to Papa and Papa.
Sure. Yeah.
Eventually. So, and it turns out she did.
So things are definitely kind of like they have a ways to go to kind of repair things, but
especially this like the thing with Mike and here. This is 11 at her most disillusioned.
Certainly, and in the wake of all that, she's cleaning up the place, and she discovers the Terry Ives files, the files of her mother. That again, we did meet her mother last season. I completely forgot about this, but again, it's kind of a quick scene where basically we establish, okay, there's basically Hopper becomes aware of 11, again, getting that episode 7-esque space from last season. She we visit Terry, and Terry's a vegetable. So, and in the episodes before this, we established, basically he's reading 11 a bedtime story, most likely a story he told his daughter, but reading the story, and she asked, does she have a mama? And the answer, of course, he says, no, she died. Well, he said she's gone, which, of course, gone usually in this context means died, but nope, she's around. So it's this. Yeah. All right. Of course, we have the Demodog reveal.
Oh.
The horrific Demodog reveal.
This might be the most infamous shot of the whole series.
It's a lot better than when they did in Amazing Spider-Man, I'll say that much. The whole, the rat eating the lizard thing is much better than that. Mm-hmm. But oh god, it's so horrific, and again, I know that. But here's the tragic thing for me is that Dustin's mom is looking for the cat after this episode. That's the thing that breaks my heart. Like, oh,
right.
Oh, that poor woman. She's so nice and so harmless. Why put her through? Oh,
poor Muse.
Poor Muse.
Rest in peace, Muse. Forever in our hearts. Forever in our hearts.
Well, yeah, and crazy.
And forever in the Demogorgon's stomach.
Well, if the Demogorgon takes the sports section, I don't know. But anyway. So.
All right, so Chapter 5, Dig Dug.
Real quick, the shot that you had, your thing with the Dungeons and Dragons, for me, was the Hopper upside down shot. We have this great introduction. It's such a great reveal of being in the episode. And Hopper digs into the pumpkin patch, and and we have this great kind of where the camera turns while he's in this circular environment in this tunnel, and basically he's now upside down. It's a great shot to end on.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I totally thought that the ending of the episode was the dart thing. My bad.
Oh no, yeah, it's the Hopper.
It's basically the way that turning the camera upside down shows like the upside down is in the real world now.
I know, it's such a great reveal. And the next two are the Andrew Stanton arc. And I was really excited. I should have mentioned this in the expectations. I knew Andrew Stanton directed 2 episodes this season. I was really looking for, at the beginning of every episode, I was looking intently like, did he direct this one? Did he direct this one? Did he direct this one? So episode 5, finally, Stanton!
All right, so episode 5, Dig Dug.
That's like, Andrew Stanton can do horror.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now, of course, with the Dig Dug of it all, the choice of the Dig Dug game very much to tie in with Hopper's predicament.
Yeah, I love that, and I love how that's foreshadowed too.
Now, Tiki and I probably go on, Tiki. Good job.
No, yeah, I just really like how this whole episode is kind of like a reversal. It's like a one season or a one episode kind of Hopper's basically experiencing the same things that Will experienced throughout season 1.
Yeah, I mean, he's put in an almost identical situation. The only difference is, Will was kind of like a weird cocoon. In this case, Hopper is tied down with vines and crap, and like those weird otherworldly living vines.
Well, remember there was like a vine going down Will's throat when they found him in season 1.
I imagine that's the end game for Hopper. Had he just been left there. The other thing too, because I remember this, and the upside down we've established is a toxic environment. So I mean, Hopper going down there was very foolish, and of course, just not being able to dig himself out. Well, I mean, he falls into there's no way to climb out. I should say, there's no way for him to climb. He needs it's a multiple person job, and he's kind of stuck in there. So it's like, man, he went down that hole, and you see those floating particles. Like, oh god, he's in so much trouble. And of course, it seals up, and he's toast. He's toast. Oh boy. I love Will's. In this episode, we have the new set piece for the season, where Will's drawings of the tunnels, of the tunnel system for the Upside Down, is all over that poor house.
Yeah, and I love the way that they were able to kind of continue the tradition of like the weird clues being laid out in clever ways across that living room.
Yeah, but this time it's the whole house.
Yeah, it's a cool look too. And I love that we call in Bob to decipher it.
Oh God! Oh.
And by the way, Goonies reference when he walks in there asking, "Oh, we looking for treasures? A treasure map?"
Yep. And also, might I say that if they didn't call in Bob, then Bob would still be alive.
Well, yeah, but then Hopper would be dead, so we need, it's...
I guess so, but it's like a trade, right? It's like, yeah, I guess we're
like,
going to take
Bob
Hopper
had to
over
die,
Bob,
so
but
Hopper would-
love Bob.
It's one wife over the other.
It's like I think like this and the next Gen episode are tied for my second favorite episode.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
it's solid.
It's a good one. I love this, and now I might butt heads a little bit on this because 5 and 6 have this as a runner, so it's a kind of a 2-part story here. But I really like the Jonathan Nancy. I like how Stain kind of directs the romance with these two in these 2 episodes, particularly.
I mean, he knows how to direct that kind of stuff. I mean, like he knows how to tell that kind of romance story very well.
Yeah, the one issue I have is with the conspiracy theorist guy.
Oh, with Murray.
Yeah, he was just super creepy.
You know what's funny? I know Murray from some other shows. Like he was on Blunt Talk, and he was in The Other Guys. Tiki, right? You've seen The Other Guys, right?
No, I haven't. I still know.
Oh yeah, you love that, man.
Yeah.
So it's Brett Gelman, if I'm remembering that correctly. I think it's the actor's name. He's a great job. He always has that distinct beard in all his roles. He always plays eccentrics. In this case, this is probably the smartest eccentric he's played. And I liked him. I liked the whole the watered down vodka thing. I thought that was kind of like a neat little. Okay, that's how he's kind of have that kind of moment of clarity. Like, oh my god, yeah, we just watered down in there. That's how we do it.
So, are we seriously not going to address the creepiness of him, though?
Oh, Murray. Oh, I mean, yeah. Again, he's definitely an eccentric, and he's definitely kind of.
Yeah, eccentric. Yeah, that's the word for like desperately wanting 2 teenagers to have sex in his apartment. Yeah, sure, we'll call it eccentric.
Okay, look. I mean, he didn't. Well, that's in the next episode. Most of that. Do that in the next episode.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm just kind of laying my flag for where I stand on that.
I don't know. Murray he's kind of like this. And I'm looking for the word here. He's kind of like. God, he's sort of I guess the bad version is he's kind of a go with the flow mentality where he's just sort of he's trying to help in a way, but it's again he's like a social outcast trying to help. He's not trying to he's playing matchmaker, but he's not like saying do anything. He's just saying hey, share the bed.
Like I say, it's just the fact it's like how pushy he seems with the whole thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way.
It's the fact he's just that kind of he's just like the most. He's a steadfast reporter. He's a conspiracy reporter, and conspiracy reporters are notably unhinged, and they go for it. Yeah, they're kind of cool for anything, which kind of makes him.
I mean, he speaks his mind. That's the thing. Like
It's
like he said he wants to have something to say. He'll say it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has no filter. That's the thing. He has no filter, and you gotta remember at the same time, while he does want to help Barbara's family and uncover the conspiracy, at the same time, again, he's charging them. So that's kind of the.
Mm-hmm.
He's not fully like on the right. He's not a character on the side of right at the end of the day. So he's an enigma that Murray. But yeah, let's see. I just want to continue. But yeah, with the whole Jonathan Nancy thing, I mean, I like we have some class. I don't know. I like kind of the natural kind of romantic stuff that Stan has done there.
It feels very like 16 Candles. You know what I mean?
That's fair. Yeah, I do. There's a lot of 16 Candles there. Yeah, but I mean, also see like I love like it's like the classy motel opening where they're kind of going over the scars they share because remember they cut their hand to summon the Demogorgon last season. I mean, I like it's real natural, kind of like they're in the separate beds in this episode. And of course, the next episode is all about kind of the melding the beds together. I thought it was directed really classily. I think he's got a good command over that stuff. Feels very much kind of like the whole, not in the same genre. It feels vaguely like the whole John Carter. I can see the correlation between what he's done in John Carter with Lynn Collins' character and Taylor Kitsch's John Carter character. Going on there. Anyway. Oh yes.
One thing we can say is like it definitely shows Stanton's range.
And speaking of Stan's range, the big thing we got to highlight, the big directing highlight of this episode was fantastic. Terry's memory sequence where he explained the whole breath, sunflower, rainbow, 450, 3 right, 4 left. And we finally explained, because she's been in that vegetative state, just kind of repeating those words, and we get the awesome flashback origin of that. So well directed. Oh my god, it's great.
That and the ending where Will was writhing and like the whole scene, like that's what really sold as one of my favorites.
Yeah, like oh man, I'm just wowed by, and of course, the tragedy of the Rainbow Room and just what happened to Terry. Poor Terry, just being essentially getting the electroshock therapy, and it's kind of basically having that done to her so much, it's kind of
she's basically given a lobotomy without a lobotomy.
Yes. You're right. Just basically been given like an overdose of electric shock resulting in lobotomy. Yes.
Pretty much. I mean, that's the best way I can think of it. I mean, I don't really know the proper term, but that's the best way I can think of it. It's almost as if they completely shut off her brain with that.
It's like an overstimulation, I guess. But I mean, there's a better term we're not thinking of right now. But yeah. But Tiki, what do you think about just kind of the whole Terry sequence?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Just fantastic directing. It's just very, very abstract. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That, like I said, definitely shows Stanton's range.
Almost kind of reminds me of Inception or something, the way that we go into the mind.
Sure. I mean, I love that I think there's a big thing this season I really liked what we do with 11. I like that she can regularly do the sense deprivation thing, where she basically puts a blindfold on, she concentrates, and she can, you basically kind of walk that, it's not the upside down, she walks kind of that black wet plane, kind of that intermediary plane where she can, kind of check in on people, she can spy on things, she gets the message from Hopper.
Mm-hmm.
That plane also, that's where she interacts with her mother, and basically that's the only plane she can really communicate with her mother. That's where the whole sequence kind of takes place there. So again, really there's a lot of neat stuff there. That's where the 11 story, the 11 subplot, I think, is really kind of at its height, I guess.
Oh yeah.
With the misadventure subplot, not the whole, like, when she's back with the gang.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the height of the 11 stuff is maybe like episode 2 with Hopper this season. Sure. But I agree, like on her like solo road trip, this is probably the height.
Of course, the really haunting thing, of course, and this is the episode where we have Steve and Dustin kind of team up, and I love how they team up. Steve's like bringing flowers to kind of apologize, and of course, she's not home, Steve, come with me. And Dustin takes charge. It's like, yeah, we're going on a buddy adventure. What? Just get in the car.
And bring your bat.
Yes, that's so. It's just the great opening to that arc, and of course, the big thing that ends this episode. Again, we have really good. Now it's kind of current. We have so many good endings this season. These episodes. Will and Agony, oh my god, when they're starting to incinerate. Basically, after we rescue Hopper, and of course, thanks to Bob and Joyce, we saved, and Will as well. Of course, Will kind of gave he had the scent. He basically sensed that Hopper was in trouble, so we got a lot of help on that. But oh my god, Will and Agony is such a haunting image to end out on, where he has the mind link going on with the tunnel, so they're being he's burning alive.
Oh yeah, that's when the thought first crossed my mind. Stan can do horror, and like he's stepping into it like he's done it before. It's like it was that scene and the whole thing, and pretty much the minute is like a tie for my second favorite.
Mm-hmm.
All right, episode 6, The Spy.
The Spy.
Now this is another great Stan episode here.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
So I really like how the way the concept of the spy is kind of turned on its head throughout the season. Because like one of Will's best scenes, I think, is when he's talking to Mike. Speaking of which, I feel like we're kind of underselling. I really love the dynamic between Will and Mike this season.
I agree with you full-heartedly on that. Tiki.
It's like there's it's like the other two are there, but Will and Mike are the main duo of the group.
You gotta remember, ever since the first episode, we had that really quiet moment between Mike and Will that kind of cemented why Mike was kind of so steadfast to kind of lead the charge to save Will. There was that little moment where Will revealed that, hey, I actually rolled this when I didn't say what I rolled, that would have lost us the game. So basically, it's that little moment before he disappeared that really stuck with Mike. In this case, we have moments all like that all throughout here, where he's kind of lifting his spirits by saying, "Hey, you're the spy. Isn't that cool?"
Yeah, right. And like I said, I love how that's turned on its head in such a horrific way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, but it actually turns out not to be so great.
We pick up the episode horrifyingly, where we have the aftermath of Will, and again, it's like we're in darkness and we're hearing Will just being brought into the hospital and all this stuff, and of course like the decontamination of Hopper. It's like it's such a horrific scene. And of course, it's Will writhing and saying, "Where's it? Where's it burn? Where's it? Where's it warm? Everywhere!" It's like, oh god,
oh god, yeah. And like I said, Noah Schnapp, just goddamn, just.
Yeah, Schnapp and Wolfhard, they are also, again, they're really good together. Those quiet moments, folks. And again, the scene again, it's better than the motel, but I'm saying it's in the same vein as the motel. Again, Jonathan and Nancy, the love story of like this feels just so old timey romance. I think it's right up. Again, we know Stan can do romance. Look at Wally again, the one of the most perfect romances. He's done. Look at that. You have a scene here where, like, on both sides, they're kind of processing. Do I want to take that leap? It's just it's an earnest romance of like, do we want to share the bed? Like 50 standards. Again, I like that we kind of go into the 50s with these two instead of the 80s, like the rest of the show almost. It feels really nice. It's really nice. Anyway, so guys, Steve and Dustin bonding.
Oh yeah,
oh yeah, great stuff.
It feels kind of Jaws like when they're just kind of laying out, the meat, basically like chum essentially, all the chopped meat, and they're kind of chumming it out themselves. Farrah Fawcett spray.
I mean, I think it's kind of like a universally agreed upon thing that Steve and Dustin, like that whole dynamic, is easily one of the best parts of the season.
It's definitely unlikely. It's definitely an unlikely duo that I don't think anybody saw coming.
But it works. It works so well.
That it does. It's like they bond over mutual girl trouble.
And I guess we should talk about bridging off that. Their connection kind of builds to a great moment. I remember, again, it's something I was watching. I kind of remember from the trailers, like something kind of got me really hyped for the season when I first saw it. The big abort scene, right? Like, abort! Basically we have the dual trap in this episode. This is the episode where at the end where you have the big dual trap reveal. And of course on the Steve and Dustin side with, Lucas and Max. Of course, Max is we kind of glazed over this, but there was a scene where Max was feeling kind of left out of the group because of all the 11 sensitivity, and basically Lucas, following the advice from his parents, he let Max in on the loop. And we should address the other big thing attention that it kind of went in a bold direction here where Billy has it out for Lucas bad.
Oh yeah. Which is, like I said, it's straight out of It. It's straight out of like the racism that the bully exhibits in It, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah. And it's a scene where he basically tells her everything, and she says, okay, it's a nice story. Okay, but no, it's real. It really happened. He's being very serious about it. And then basically kind of proof is in the pudding when he takes her on the mission here. Of course, things get really dangerous when it's not just, basically it's a setup with all the Demodogs. The Demodogs are smarter than the average Demogorgon, and they surround the place. It's multiple in the fog and in the shadows.
And that was the major oh crap moment for a lot of this season actually is like there's more than one.
Oh, yeah. Now let me ask you guys: do you think it's just a different species there, or do you think this had these guys lived longer, they would have become full-fledged Demogorgons? Do you think like the next?
I'm kind of like, basically, since this whole setup is so much like Aliens, I'm kind of under the impression that it works like that, where basically these are like the offspring of the main Demogorgon.
Yeah, and like the next stage in evolution would be fully grown. They're standing upright.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And the shadow monster is there as
the shadow monster is like the queen. Yeah.
Or to connect to the
their mom. It's like their mama.
Yes. Yes. But again, I love how we have like this. I love how this unfolds. We have the dual trap going on where you're in the junkyard, and I was so worried Steve was going to die in this scene.
I was too. I was very concerned for Steve.
Oh god!
And then they were called away.
Yep. And again, I love how the connection here. They're called away for a very specific reason. As we have with the spy reveal, the reveal that Will was actually calling them to the location, which is why they're safe, but the rest of them are goners.
Yeah.
There's Go on.
That was like a very test. It's they sent the guards to their doom. Like they shouldn't have done that.
There's also a subtle Ghostbusters homage in the scene. Basically, it's kind of like Ray and Winston talking about kind of faith and religion in that quiet scene in Ghostbusters. It's kind of what they had like in the bus scene where it's the two characters kind of chat within the bus. So I also want to kind of get that out there. But yeah, Wolfheart's act. One of my favorite Wolfheart bits is in this episode at the end here, where he's like running to the guards, like, "Let me in there! It's a trap! It's a trap!" It was a big Star Wars homage as well. But it's beyond that.
Admiral Akbar is basically just like, "Well, that kid has my job. Nothing left for me to do."
Cast him as young Akbar.
Actually, what is Akbar has he has some tissues on the side. With his claw, he gets one. It's like, I respect that as a boy.
Akbar, a Star Wars story.
Honestly, that's not as unrealistic as you might think at this point. I would pay money for a ticket to that movie. I would. Who am I kidding? Anyways.
R2, the untold story.
Well, I mean, come on. That's just like printing money right there.
That's true. Okay. So yeah, awesome spy reveal. I love how apologetic Will is in that scene. Again, it's so well acted. Such a great, oh my god, the bad stuff's coming.
And it's like at this point in the season, we've built up so many great things, and the tension is so thick, and the cliffhanger's so great, and it's almost like there's not anything that could possibly screw it up. Oh wait, episode 7.
All right, so I'm probably gonna be the one putting up a fight for this one a little.
Good luck.
So we have the Lost Sister episode. That's what episode 7 is. It is directed by Rebecca Thomas. Again, let me say this: not all fault should fall on her. She had a good writer, but
this episode has approximately one good scene. Well, I mean, the scene, we get some decent stuff with Eleven's mother at the beginning, and then I thought the one scene in the junkyard with the train and the Yoda thing, that was good. That was well handled. Other than that,
to be fair, Kali is fine. No, there's nothing wrong with Kali.
I thought her acting was pretty poor.
Really? I thought you liked Kali a little. No?
Nah, I mean, I like her power set.
She does have a cool power set, of course. Where again, I like that ties into a mind-related ability. Where
I mean, maybe it's just because we didn't see much of her, but I don't know. I just like the actress playing her is just not doing it for me yet.
I gotta wonder. You guys think Brennan just he abducted the kids and that's why they call him Papa? Or do you think he actually helped father these kids? What do you think?
I think there's definitely some sort of a parental bond going on there. I think basically there was a parental bond that had to be put in place out of necessity, to keep them in line.
Because we know from the story that these kids were taken from the mothers, and basically that's why they've imprinted on him as Papa. But there's a question of who the fathers are in these parentages.
Right.
Yeah, it is. Maybe it'll be touched upon. Who knows? I mean,
it could be a test tube thing as well. I mean, it'd be interesting. Again, it's something to explore in the 3rd season, possibly. But yeah, more on that later. I guess.
So let me just put it this way: Kali is fine. I'm sure we'll see her again. Basically, all the other freaking characters in this episode they're just disposable.
You're not wrong, but let me point this out though. An element that kind of occurred to me on a rewatch is I like that. It seems I wonder if this would hold true if we saw any more of the children from the, let's just call it the 11 program, from the Hawkins lab, whatever. But like 11, Kali, she sought out a group of people as well. Again, they both have their little specific groups like that. I think it's kind of interesting. She formed her own she formed her little group of outsiders, where of course 11 has her group, her party.
I guess, but I mean, whereas the party is just completely lovable and awesome, this group of outsiders is just they're so boring. Even the guy named Funshine is boring.
He's kind of big and he has crazy hair. He seems like they have a name like Funside. It's Funshine.
Funshine. I don't know. I really didn't like the guy with the mohawk, just because he is literally the hooligan punk in every 80s gang ever.
And remember, it is the 80s, Tiki, so some of that is apt.
I guess it's just he had no personality whatsoever. It's just like, hey, look at me. I'm in Anarchy in the UK.
I do have to agree with the subtle reference that someone made, and I just could not shake it because I think it's really funny. Someone pointed out again, like going for the subtles, the subtle '80s references, the subtle either late '80s, early '90s, but I'm pretty sure it's in the '80s. Short Circuit 2, where we have Johnny Five. He meets the street gang, and he of course adopts he's indoctrinated by the street gang. He eventually dons a mullet and everything. So it's kind of like she kind of goes in the quest of Johnny Five in Short Circuit 2 in this arc. It's kind of funny.
This whole thing is it's like a pilot.
I don't know about that. I didn't get a pilot.
Really? Really?
I really did.
Really? This doesn't feel like a pilot to you?
I really didn't get a pilot vibe, Tiki. I really didn't.
I mean, we're just introduced to these characters, and we're getting like a very surface level feeling from them, except for the two leads. We've got some kind of intriguing mystery built up, and there's room to grow.
If anything, it feels kind of like Hook, and yes, these are some of these lost boy characters that are accompanying the important one, kind of the Rufio of the group.
I don't know.
That's I have to definitely agree with Dragon on that.
Oh God, I got such a pilot vibe off of this. I'm shocked you two didn't get that same feeling.
I guess I can understand a bit of that.
Felt like the pilot to every Marvel series ever.
Oh, come on, that's not nice. Oh, you loved Agent Carter.
It's like a group of misfits. They're like they're rebelling against society. One of them has powers.
That really doesn't sound like any of the Marvel series, Tiki.
Yeah, not really.
That's not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's not the Inhumans. That's not. It's definitely not Agent Carter. Yeah, I don't know what you're.
Definitely not.
Okay, yeah, it's not Agent Carter. Yeah.
Tiki, there's like no Marvel shows fitting your description. What do you got?
No, it's not Daredevil. It's not.
Okay, can I give a better description? Can I give
a better one?
What this episode feels like?
Go on.
Okay, it was either Chris Stuckman or Jeremy Johns who made this comparison, but I think it's so on point. This episode is basically like 11 Sylar season 2 episode from Heroes.
I get a vibe. I can clearly see that. Yes,
I definitely. I thought that comparison was like so on point.
In this episode, I can see the Sylar. This feels very much like season 2 Sylar right here.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
When Sylar, he met the. I want to say they were not the immigrants, but I guess remember he kind of attached himself to the other two story, and they were kind of going through the season.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, been a long time, folks. Heroes is not first. Sorry. All you guys like Nathan Petrelli. That's about it. Anyway.
Nathan, you don't understand.
But here's of course, the big vibe and the big clear homage in this episode. That's the big takeaway from this episode, I guess, and it's somewhat cool. We have a big Empire influence on this episode. Where Yoda.
Yeah, and I guess in that way, it's like. I think the fact that you technically can't skip this episode in the context of the story makes it even more frustrating for me. Like, if it was just a throwaway episode, then I wouldn't mind just skipping from episode 6 to episode 8.
But this has a big plot point in it.
I know, and that honestly, that just like I said, it just makes it all the more frustrating.
Because without this episode, she can't do what she does in the last one.
Oh, God. Anyway.
But, yeah, we have, like, kind of the Empire Yoda training, and, of course, the huge Empire homage is, leaving before training is complete, before she can exact her revenge, where, again, I love this, where she has, like, the vision of, she does the submersion thing, where she sees Mike, it's a trap! Again, well, Star Wars upon Star Wars in this case. Just like Mike, what is it? What's going on? Of course, she has to get out of there. So I like that element of it. And again, Kali's powers. I mean, I'll admit, yeah, you're right. The side character is kind of forgettable, but I do like the moral I'm interested by the moral quandary where this is the guy who basically kind of lobotomized, for all intents and purposes, lobotomized her mother, and but he has kids. It was an interesting moral quandary for a moment there. Again, the kids are in the corner calling the cops, and Eleven has that moment of kind of doubt for just kind of using her powers irresponsibly. I thought the episode is not all bad. I will say the episode's not all bad, but definitely compared to every other episode, is definitely the most subpar this season.
Do you guys think it would have been a little bit better if we would have just seen like a scene or two in Hawkins' lab just to kind of continue the momentum of the cliffhanger? Because that's kind of like the big complaint I hear from everyone is like, yeah, on its own, it's not a terrible episode. I mean, it's certainly a subpar episode, but what makes it bad, like I think what makes it infamously bad is just how much it kills the pace.
Here's the thing, Tiki. We still do the thing I liked in the other episodes of 11 earlier on, where we kind of fill in some blanks here. You know, she again, we had one nice bit of character where, you know, she kind of makes peace with Hopper by hearing his message on the phone, and you know, the answering machine message. And again, she has that moment with Mike, which again kind of ties it into what we saw last episode. I think there's still enough of that alive in the episodes. I think again, without kind of cutting down the momentum of like the stuff going on that we get in the next episodes. I think it's kind of it's laid out as best as they could in that case.
Okay, so let's move from by far the worst episode in the show's history to by far the best episode in the show's history, in my opinion. Episode 7, The Mind Flayer.
You mean episode 8, The Mind Flayer? You just said 7.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Episode 8. I'm sorry.
How many you had today, mister? Okay, no, I'm just kidding.
I'm just thinking like this should go after episode 6. My bad. Do you guys agree that this is the best episode of the series?
9.
You think the finale's the best?
Or was that a German no?
It's both, actually.
Okay.
You know what? I don't know. I haven't really given it much thought. I mean, it's a really good episode. I don't know if it's the best one in the entire series because I mean, there are a lot of other good episodes. But if I'm pulling from another great episode, it'd probably be from this season though. So I gotta evaluate it.
I just think this episode has everything for me. It's got the 80s references. It's got like spectacular action. It's got really wonderful character moments.
I still think the stand episodes are better than this one, and I think the episode after this one's better than this one.
All right, fair enough.
It's a solid one. That's a really good one, though. I'll give you that.
I mean, I guess I'm higher on it than you two are. I guess.
Don't lump me in there. I don't know yet. I liked it though.
All right.
You know what this episode kind of feels like to me, and I could be wrong off base with this comparison. It feels like an amalgamation of it's vaguely Alien meets Die Hard.
It's Alien meets Die Hard with a dash of Jurassic Park.
And Exorcist. You also get some Exorcist in there, too.
A little bit of The Exorcist, kind of more towards the...
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm saying Will's still possessed, so, it's kind
of... But, poor Bob.
And the Exorcist thing is more in the next episode, too.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just mean, like, the fact where basically she has that moment questioning, like, who am I? He hesitates. Mom?
It's like, nope, that's not good enough. Put him down.
Again, my heart goes out for Joyce having to do that to her own kid. He's like saying, and basically, the Exorcist thing I'm marveling is he's like saying, no, he's freaking out as it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
He's possessed, possessed. Oh yeah, so but yeah, I mean the Demodog siege on the lab, it's horrifying, and I love our pairing here. I love how it's Bob and Owens kind of saving the day together.
Yes.
Again, a lot of Die Hard in that regard too, where it's it's very much like the Carl Winslow, it's the Carl, it's the Val Johnson. It was Reg Val Johnson, I think the actor's name was.
And Bob has the nerdy John McClane.
Yeah, but I mean, this scene is also ripped straight from Jurassic Park. I mean, the whole setup is like, okay, we got to restore the power. Like, who's going to restore the power? Oh, the guy who knows. I mean, I guess like Bob's kind of like. I love the way that Bob's the AV knowledge works its way into it.
Yeah, and I like that.
And the fact that he also knows computer code.
Oh, we find out in the next episode that he actually started the AV club. So I love that he always has that kind of that bond with the boys in that regard, which is kind of nice.
I honestly wish that would have been emphasized more in the season instead of just being a reveal.
I think that's just them wanting to keep him alive somehow after he's gone. So they probably saved it for that. It's like, yeah, we lost Bob, but hey, we can reference Bob.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like,
let's see.
Like for Bob.
It's for Bob. But yes, oh god, the death of Bob. It's so. I love that. I love that. We know he's doing. He forgets the gun. I love he's so non-action.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? I feel like that's almost too obvious of a dead giveaway at that point.
Well, here's the thing: though, him forgetting the gun, though, because again, after that, it seems like he's in the clear. So that's where
and also the guns. He doesn't know how to. First of all, he doesn't know how to use it, and they're not really effective against those things anyway. So it wouldn't have done him much good if he did take it.
But again, like the minute he leaves and the minute that mop slams in, you know he's dead. And it's like, oh, Bob, poor Bob, no.
And of course, we get the ultimate, like, the most poorly timed, like, I'm dating Joyce Byers. It's just like, yes, Bob, you're dating Joyce Byers, but get out of there. And that's what I love about it. It's like, yes, obviously, it's like totally stupid of him to just like stand there in awe that Joyce is like there waiting for him. But goddamn, it's so in character. You know what I mean?
As he's dying, he's like, I loved Edward Scissorhands.
Oh God. I mean, it's like, this is not a guy who has it all together. This is a guy who is going to be awestruck that, like, the love of his life is waiting for him.
I'm sorry, speaking of the Edward Scissorhands, I gotta tell you, I'm making it relevant. It's kind of like that scene, again, oddly enough, with Joyce Byers, technically, with the Winona Ryder character, when he's kind of like spacing out for a moment, like, oh, look, it's snowing, the ice has turned into snow, and of course her hand gets slashed, and then of course things go down south after that, just because she just kind of got lost in the moment, and now we kind of do that more horrifically with Bob. Gets lost in the love. And here's the real take. It's less the fact that Bob kind of drifts off from me. You know what really bugs me about, especially on the rewatch? Why isn't Hopper waiting on the inside with the gun?
Yeah, right.
Like, I mean, I get that someone has to watch the kids, but I mean, seriously, why isn't the guy with the gun to make sure any stragglers behind?
No, that was my guess. I think he was doing it to watch the kids while Joyce, like, because he went out before Joyce, and he probably.
Why is Joyce on the inside?
He's probably waiting for Bob.
Yeah. He can find the door.
Well, let's face it. It's right. It's a writing technique called and you need to see your loved ones die.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Oh God, poor Bob. It's just like I'm like, Amazing Grace on bagpipes. Where is it? No, it's
forever. Rest in peace, Bob. Forever.
And again, I love that Sean Astin wanted Bob to be killed gruesomely. He wanted to basically he said if Bob's going to die, he wants him to die a heroic death. And wants to be gruesome there, and they gave him like the most heroic, gruesome death they could.
Like forever in our hearts. He
So
died
one
so
of my
they could.
favorite like subtle moments of the season is when they get back to the Byers house, and it's just such a somber. It's like we don't really have any dialogue. It's just everyone's just kind of reflecting on everything that's happened.
He sacrificed his life so they could live. It's like he was just a regular guy too. I mean, that's the thing. Is like he was a regular guy dragged into an annoying situation, yet he gave it his all. He's what you call a hero.
Oh yeah. And by the way, the Exorcist interrogation is in this episode. I thought it was in the next. No, it's in this one. That's where we do the interrogation. Or of course we have the Morse code. Basically, Will's given Morse code deep within the.
Close the gate. Like I'm here. Close the gate.
Yes. Also, the "I'm here" might be a reference to the Christmas lights from last season.
And I like how it ties into what Hopper was teaching 11.
Yeah. So I love how all our stories link up yet again. Like literally, all the characters are under the same roof, and of course, we have Hopper dealing with these kids. Of course, I love that we've ever since the first step, ever since like the early. I guess it was episode 1. Maybe, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was episode 1 where Hopper goes to the school and he's kind of interacting with these boys, and he doesn't really interact with them again towards that episode 7 territory, which again is kind of the same position he is in this episode, where he's saying, okay, one at a time, darn it, like they're talking over each other. And in this case, like Dustin's like reading them like the fictional rules of like what you do with what you do in the situation. Like, well, we need an army of zombies.
He's like, I give up.
Oh yeah, but also we should touch on the Billy versus Neil scene, the father.
Okay. What do you want to bring up?
was hoping someone's going to jump in, but we have we get the as horrific as Billy has been, again, as kind of by the numbers and evil, just racked up. Like, again, they almost ran over a protagonist just to prove a point. That guy's psychotic. You feel almost for a moment just a twinge of sympathy with this abusive father he's got here. Just kind of like tears him down, just hits him a couple times. It's really, you get a sense. So he kind of breaks down after the father leaves. Again, I like that. Even despite the fact that the guy's such kind of a cookie cutter bad guy, I like that we add some complexity to him in that moment. That's interesting.
I mean, I'm pretty much like repeating myself at this point, but again, kind of like the abusive father dynamic is straight out of Stephen King and It.
Right.
And even the Duffers admitted it really doesn't excuse any of the behavior he did.
Exactly. It's just, again, the guy's still a monster, but at least you understand it now, that you get where it's coming from.
It's like what his father did is small change compared to what he was doing.
Then the episode ends, of course, after the Exorcist style interrogation, which then Will kind of breaks free. Basically he's able to, he finds, like, there's a phone call where he realizes, oh, I'm home, and he's signaling for the Demodogs. And meanwhile, of course, we're waiting for a Demodog to come burst in. And what is it? It's 11.
Yay!
Or I guess by her new moniker, Jane. But in our hearts, she'll always be 11.
Oh yeah.
All
right, final one, guys. Let's wrap this up pretty quick because we've been going on pretty long. So
main event time.
The main event time. But here on Sakar,
and now the moment you have been waiting for.
The incredible Ego. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, so Chapter 9, The Gate.
Mike and 11 reunite, and we have that beautiful 353 days moments, which is so nice, so sickeningly sweet.
And it's like they're finally reunited. You can just feel the emotion between those two. It's like, I missed you so much.
And here's a scene I've been waiting for the whole season that happens in this episode where Mike versus Hopper here for a moment, where basically Mike, he's chewing Hopper out for what he's done. And I love that he doesn't blame 11 one iota. And that's, again, Hopper being the responsible dog. It's like, hey, just don't blame her. I'm not blaming her. I'm blaming you.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's hitting them. And again, it's a moment of vulnerability between two of them. Hopper feels kind of bad about what he's done. He was at the end. He's in the right, but he could have tailored it a little bit more.
And Hopper just takes, he knows, he doesn't blame Mike for being mad at him.
Yeah, it's really a great scene between two good actors in that scene there. It's, it kind of holds them close. It's really nice.
And you can also feel the tension from 11 and Max.
Oh yeah, and again, I like that. We get a sense that in the month gap, she's much better with Max, but in this moment, she's just still like, I'm not giving this girl an inch.
She Max extends her hand, to shake it, and she's just walks straight past her. When it's what's the time of day? I don't know you, and I don't like you.
Yep. So we have that. As much as I love this episode, we have a weird, uncomfortable scene with Mike's mom.
Oh, really? Okay. God damn it! This is where our senses of humor divulge, Dragon.
This is.
Oh,
weird.
I love this scene.
I was so creeped out by this scene.
Look, I think it's just the fact that this guy is obviously not really a high schooler.
I mean, it just felt kind of tacked on and unnecessary. Don't get me wrong. Some padding padding and extra scenes aren't always bad because if you strip this,
no, but I mean, it's not necessarily padding because for the conflict, Billy needed to find out naturally where the kids were. So.
I know, but I'm just saying, what I'm trying to say here. I'm sorry, I'm repeating that over and over again. But if you strip things down to its bare bones, this show would only be 2 episodes if you just went over every single plot point. So, but I just felt this seems kind of out of place and out of character from Mike's mom.
How is Mike's dad sleeping through all those knocks and everything? Yet she can hear it from the bathroom. Come on. And it's I appreciate the gag that she's reading a book with a Fabio-esque figure on, and then of course a Fabio-esque figure is at the door. I appreciate that part of it, but I mean the whole lot is come on, that's just weird. It's it's his mom. Oh god, it's
it's just kind of out of character for both of them. Well, not necessarily not necessarily Billy, but kind of Mike's mom.
Yeah. All right. So
I
speaking,
guess we'll agree to disagree. I was a fan of how that scene played out, but I don't know. I like dark humor like that.
I don't mind it, but it's just kind of out of place in a way.
Yeah.
Like if they had more build up to it, or more hints at it, and something that will play out, it makes perfect sense. But it's completely out of character for Mike's mom.
Well, to keep the Billy train going here, let's talk about the big altercation. Steve v. Billy.
This is another moment where I thought maybe that, since they've been building up Billy as such a monster, maybe they were going to kill off Steve here.
And this is where the Jack and the Shining stuff is starting to come into focus. This is where I'm seeing what they're really getting at, where you see the creepy guy just kind of walks in there.
It's kind of funny, though, considering, the way Steve was originally conceived was to be like Billy, but then the guy who auditioned was far too likable, so they made him into what he is now.
Yeah.
So it's basically kind of Steve versus the original, the new Steve versus the old Steve.
Yeah, Steve versus camera breaking Steve.
It's like Superman versus Bizarro,
or worse, Superman versus Nuclear Man.
Oh man,
well, it looks more like Nuclear Man actually.
In a way, the scene was very cathartic.
Oh yeah, I love that. So basically, again, poor Steve takes another beating this season. This poor actor, he keeps having to have his face always covered with all the marks of a beating, and they have to track that the whole season. At least in this case, they say it for the last episode. But after the big fight, after it seems like, oh god, it's gonna be curtains for Steve. Poor Steve. Max steps up. She conquers her demons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at first it's and I think this is where I like how it all ties into the father, because he sees I think he sees a bit of the father when she attacks him with the bat.
Oh, and I love that she gets him she basically has the perfect threat. I mean, she injects him. The scary thing is that he doesn't go down instantly. That's the scary thing. Everything, he's still conscious when he's injects. Basically, didn't push the plunger down a lot, so he's half and half. But I love that you basically get the threat transfer. Then she does between the legs with the bat. Here's the threat, and hey, I'm not gonna kill him. I'm gonna give you the Bob Barker treatment.
God.
Again with the spiked bat. With Steve's weapon too. Again, she just kind of basically she lives up to her Mad Max moniker in the scene, because not only is she doing that, then she's driving. She's driving the Billy's fast car, and of course Steve just in the back horrified, coming to oh god, I'm supposed to get whoa. So basically, we have kind of almost like a Return of the Jedi kind of thing going on here. We have kind of our three plot lines that save the day going on simultaneously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So we got Mike, Dustin, Lucas, Max, and Steve. After they convince Steve, they go down into the worst place possible. If you promise to keep these kids safe, to the Upside Down to lure the Demodogs away, which of course includes a kind of a heartfelt reunion. Kind of boy and his future monster with Dustin and Dart. They bonded over nougat, but he ate his cat.
It's that reminds me of that. It's I'm sorry, Dart, but you ate my cat.
Yeah.
I just remember.
And of course, you got Jonathan, Nancy, and Joyce. They kind of perform an exorcism on Will, basically kind of overheating them until he. Again, horrifically too. I felt so bad for Joyce having to do this. She has to kind of prod him on the side and basically burn him. I mean, no, Nancy has to do it, but it's the fact that Joyce has to condone this and see her boy kind of get tortured like this to snap him out of it. Yes, and then of course, lastly we have the biggie. Of course, 11 and Hopper closing the gates. A lot of levitation and guns, I like to call it. She's levitating, she's looking awesome. You have nose blood coming from both nostrils. She's got the circles around her eyes. She's sewing up the big rift that was created in the first season. And of course, Hopper's Gunapalooza with Hopper's kind of shooting, getting her six on that one. And I like that. Again, it's a fruitless effort. Again, they can't stay down there long because those guns are going to be ineffectual against all those Demodogs.
Yeah, I think my favorite moment from this episode was the scene right before 11 and Hopper go into the gate where they're just in the car and, Hopper's kind of talking about Eleven's new look.
Bitching.
Like, I don't know. Like, for me, it's like this season really shines because of character stuff like that. Like,
and the
action and everything is great.
And yeah, that's a positive from episode 7. Admit it.
Yeah. It's like the action and everything is, it is a step up from season 1, but like the character stuff is just so on point throughout the whole thing.
Exactly. Okay, so following the big action climax, we have yet again. I just love this. Yet again, we've linked up with the same time frame as last season. I think it's kind of clever. Yet a month has passed, and we are yet again at Christmas.
Exactly. And Mike finally got to take 11, or now Jane Hopper, to the snowball.
I love the snowball payoff. I'm so happy with the fact that we paid off the snowball because, of course, that was in the last episode where we kind of homage, second to last episode where we kind of mentioned going to the snowball. I forget which one. I think it was the last one, actually.
And the fact that now 11 is now officially Hopper's adopted daughter,
which is sweet, and I really love that. Again, I just love that whole idea with Hopper. I already went over that earlier on. Of course, the lab is shut down. It would seem. Because of the Barb, kind of the follow up on Barb again, she was poisoned by chemicals from the factory and was covered up. Like, okay, hey, it's better than nothing.
They finally got their justice for Barb.
Yeah. Okay, so of course Lucas got the girl, which was nice. I like Lucas. I guess I should have hit upon that a little bit more in the opening. Yeah, Lucas in the first season was probably one of my. I think Lucas was probably my favorite in the first season, and this season.
I think Lucas was a great personality in the first season, but he didn't really have a lot of story.
Well, I'm not counting 11. I just mean out of the 4 boys, that Lucas was my favorite. But I see your point, though.
I do like Lucas and Dustin's dynamic throughout this season.
I mean, they made peace. They weren't like holding grudges or anything. Of course, the whole dart thing was to impress the girl. And again, I love that kind of boyish shit is of like thinking impress the girl like a thing from another dimension.
And the thing is, like, how there are a whole bunch of these Demogorgons, and no one in Hawkins noticed it.
To be fair, they're always targeted around this group. So I mean, that is kind of. There's enough believability in the abandoned junkyard than the obscured lab.
But they're making a lot of, but so much noise was made, though.
That's fair.
But the snowball, the snowball payoff and everything that happened there, like even the subtle musical foreshadowing.
Yeah, I love that Will even got the girl too. Like chicks dig the zombie boy moniker. I love that.
that was so sweet. Like, zombie boy, can I dance? Would you like to dance?
It's nice. Good for Will. Good for Will, and of course Mike and 11.
And now it's a badge to now can be seen as a badge to wear with pride.
Yeah.
And Nancy dances with Dustin just to basically to get the other girls' attention.
Of course,
those are sweet. Like, you'll drive them nuts.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
I'm surprised you didn't mention the whole electricity thing again. Oh well. Sorry.
Okay, Mike and 11 are dancing finally. I keep mentioning that, but it's nice that they finally get to complete the loop on that. Anyway, so of course the Shadow Monsters still has designs on Hawkins, and that completes the season.
Like I said, musical foreshadowing the song "I'll Be Watching You."
Great choice.
It's always mistakenly thought as a love song, but when you think, even though it actually really is not.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like the monster's always there.
All right.
All right, and that ends season 2.
What a ride!
Yep. Tiki, you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm kind of frustrated because I've been like trying to make some points, but I've been like
I'm so sorry
the whole time.
I'm sorry, Tiki.
Well, you didn't say anything.
Yeah, I know. I didn't say anything because you guys never gave me the opportunity to, because you were just like going off for like 5 straight minutes. So I just wanted to bring up the Steve and Dustin thing before we sign off.
Oh, sure, by all means.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, not much to say. It kind of leads into my speculation for season 3, actually.
Well,
so it's kind
start us off then. Start us off.
Okay, so season 3, really I have two main things to speculate on with season 3. I'll start with the Dustin of it all, and I think with Dustin, I think Dustin is actually going to start to get popular in season 3. And I think he's going to start to kind of drift away from the main group. And I think that's going to be kind of like the story, is that Dustin's kind of like coming to terms with like he's realizing that that being in the party isn't like a long-term thing that he wants to be involved in high school. And speaking of high school, I think high school is definitely like, I have a feeling that season 3 might be the most interpersonal season that we've seen yet, because of course we're going to get like the dynamic between Max and 11. We're going to get the kids as high school freshmen. We're going to get Mike and 11 presumably as a dating couple. And most importantly, I think basically, here's the thing. I think if, you know, like if season 2 was like aliens and, you know, season 2 is like basically like a combination of like we had a lot of aliens and we had, I don't know, help me out. What else did we have behind besides aliens?
I'm sorry, in 85?
No, I'm just saying like the main like theme, like the tentpole, like if this, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, let's just call season 2 aliens, because I feel like that is like one of the big jumping off reference points in this season.
Okay. All right, so season 2 is aliens, season 1's ET.
Season 1's ET. I think season 3 is going to be Carrie.
That's Tiki. That's a good idea. I could see that.
And that's really all the speculation I have. I mean, I feel like that kind of just writes itself.
And it fits into the whole high school vibe.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It's not bad.
All right.
I have, well, let's see. So here's let me throw this idea at you. The Shadow Monster wants 11 instead of Will for a change, because, you know, we've been going after Will for 2 seasons now, and I would imagine that after 11 kind of closes the loop and we see the Shadow Monsters kind of lingering at the dance, I'm thinking Shadow Monster is impressed with 11 and wants her as kind of like the bridge, like kind of basically as a way of finally, you know, kind of reopening the rift, and otherwise just kind of using 11 as kind of a power source of some kind instead of, you know, using Will. A theory, assuming Barb's alive, I'm going to, you know, again, we have not seen a body we haven't seen Barb's body. I still think we're building to her being alive in some way. So part of me wonders if Barb generally, you know, might be used like a new bridge like Will, or as the Upside Down's version of 11. Just kind of used as kind of like a puppet of the Upside Down.
And we still haven't figured out fully what the Upside Down is yet.
Now, I'm so glad you brought that up, Jake, because broadly, I think what we're going to have next season, I'm calling this absolutely next season, that Brennan's going to come back, because we've kind of established that he is very likely alive. Modine back, he will basically come back to explain the 11 program, which will, I think predominantly we're going to explain what the deal with these kids are, like, you know, what the program is, like how they got their powers, namely, because we don't know how they got their powers. Like, we don't know if that's tied into the Upside Down. We're not sure. And based on that, like, that might get us kind of explanations of the Upside Down. The point is, I think we're going to be informed more on those lingering plot threads next season. Possibly we will introduce other kids, and if they correlate with the Upside Down here, hey, other kids with powers, the Upside Down, again, might have more targets, kind of like if they were targeting 11, like, oh my god, power source within all these kids. Yeah, basically a way of taking over the world, you know, just kind of using these powered kids. Mm-hmm. And in the end, what I think we're going to do with Brennan is assuming we go that route, assuming Brennan comes back, would be, I think he's going to have a sacrificial play. I think you're going to like see kind of the good side of Papa, and then he's going to kind of, he'll die to kind of save 11 or save, you know, the children.
That definitely like fit in line with his type of character arc.
Yeah. Of course, I think, very obviously, I think Hopper and Joyce are going to get together next season.
You think it's going to be next season, as soon as next season? Because one thing to note is that the Duffer... One at a time.
What do you got, Tiki?
One thing to note is that the Duffer Brothers have said that they like their ideal run of this would be 4 seasons. So that would mean we're halfway through at this point.
Well, I don't know. Part of me thinks like halfway through, like not the start of this season. I'm assuming like a year has gone by, and just based on, you know, kind of the year logic we kind of had with this.
I'm saying maybe by the end of season 3 we'll have Joyce and Hopper together. I don't think it's going to be like between seasons or anything, though.
I just think like.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think like either in the middle or by the end they'll get together. I'm saying the next season, within the next season, they'll get together.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can sign off on that.
I mean, they're totally hinting at it.
Uh,
Like they hinted that they had something like they used to share in the past, and they're doing it again in the future, in the present. So it's entirely possible that they will.
The last thing I got is just
all at the cost of Bob.
right. The last thing I got with the 1985 thing, assuming it's in 1985, of course, like what I think the theme would be Back to the Future. I'm thinking,
that's a good call. We really haven't seen any Back to the Future on this show.
Let me paint you a picture. Imagine this: Back to the Future vibe with Brennan, or either with Brennan, the boys, or possibly Mr. Clark, where we have kind of a character who's kind of in the. Basically, I'm saying they could, like, Brennan could be the Doc Brown figure, or maybe like some of the boys being the big science aficionados they are, or even Mr. Clark, assuming he is. Imagine like Clark is he's looped into things kind of like Bob was, which of course might spell some doom for him, which is why I would hate for him to kill Mr. Clark, but again, it's kind of the path you get when you get involved with these kids. Imagine this: he finds out what they've been up to, and he has kind of like a Doc Brown, just kind of marveling at all the scientific implications of the Upside Down. Therefore, you have kind of a basically main Back to the Future of a Doc Brown figure within the next season. Is what I'm kind of spitballing. So that's all I got.
Right. So I've pretty much said my piece on this whole thing, and I kind of want to get the heck out of here because we've been going on pretty long. So, final thoughts on your end, guys?
We pretty much covered our thoughts on every single episode.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't really have much more to contribute.
I liked it more than season one. Again, I think it holds up more episode by episode, which is why I can easily say that I like it. Again, each episode feels like kind of a completed arc and a complete chapter of the story instead of just like you need to see the whole work. Again, I think it worked. Again, it worked a lot better serialized. I think there's strong arcs and new characters. A lot of really strong new characters added. And I think it does the best thing you can with the season. Is it kind of helps season one as well, and that kind of reinvigorates kind of intrigue in the series as a whole, makes you want to kind of watch it from the beginning, kind of see the growth there. So I think it's everything you want in a season two that I learned from season one is kind of improved and just kind of makes you thrilled to see the next season. I think it accomplished everything it really should have set out to do. So I'm very, very high on season two.
Stranger Things 3 can't come soon enough.
Yeah.
No, it really. What do you guys think if they released Stranger Things 3 and like during December and like themed it around Christmas? Like if this season was a Halloween season, what if season 3 was a Christmas season?
Well, I definitely don't think they're going to do Halloween again. So I think there's a good chance of that because they always end on Christmas. So eventually they start on Christmas or something, or New Year's even. Maybe they could start on New Year's.
That would be interesting.
All right, so thanks for powering through this marathon podcast, folks. We appreciate it. We will definitely be back for a season 1 podcast. I'm guessing we'll probably do it closer to when season 3 comes out. However, if we get like a demand for it, then we'll certainly do it. Like if this gets a really good response, then we'll do season 1 sooner rather than later. So we'll see. We'll play it by ear. But in the meantime, folks, just remember, I get to date Joyce Byers.